What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 9MB. Chapter 181 Compromise. Advertisement. Sengoku's face turned pale after hearing Lucar's words, and the veins on his head violently. Can't you guys tell me in private? You have to bring up this matter. Do you know that spreading this matter will cause a big panic in naval headquarters? Sengoku snarled angrily in his heart, but there was no way he could say that as Admiral. Although he also knew that there were many assholes like Todd Vice Admiral in Marine, he had some plans in his mind to rectify naval headquarters. But things will definitely not proceed as simple and rudely as Lucar's side. You must know that many of these mobs are arranged by the world government, which proves that Marine has no intention to get out of control. Not to mention that there is still something as big as New World to do right now, and it is absolutely impossible to do this sort of thing in this time period. When Lucar finished this, the three of Shizawa, Bullet, and Wanda directly stepped forward and stood beside Lucar, expressing their decision with actions. Sengoku looked at the people in front of him and felt a headache. This Lucar was really smelly and hard. Even a sane Marine like Nishizawa had done this behavior. Suddenly, Sengoku regretted calling Lucar back to the headquarters. He should still let him stay in West Blue. He somewhat underestimated Lucar's ability to cause trouble. Sengoku Admiral, now I have to let the offending Marine immediately let go of Todd Vice Admiral. Todd is already a little dysfunctional. The noble Marine Dunlop Borg anxiously asked Sengoku for help. He could see that Todd, whose head was choked by Lucar, was dying. His face was full of blood, and all his white teeth had been knocked off to the ground. At present, he had more air and less air. Lucar, you first let go of Todd Vice Admiral. If you kill him here, I can only do it. Sengoku suppressed the anger in his heart, looked at Lucar seriously, and said solemnly. Now on the field, with the appearance of Sengoku, there are more and more Marines watching from the outside, and many Marines who are based in the headquarters have heard the sound and rushed over. Oh, isn't this Lucar, brother? What's the situation now, Sakazuki? This atmosphere is so terrible. I don't know when. Two tall men with a height of more than 3 meters appeared among the onlookers. HMPH, did you hear the news? Pelusolino. With a cigar in his mouth, Sakazuki looked at the center with his arms around his chest, posing as a gang boss. Of course I heard about such a big thing. Little brother Lucar feels that no matter how deadlocked, Marshal Sora will be down. I hope this B*** D calms down. Although this is what I want to do, it's not the time now. There was a space of more than 1 meter around the two of them. No one was standing beside them. The surrounding Marine soldiers were a little afraid of Sakazuki wearing a red suit. Seeing more and more Marines watching, Nishizawa felt a little pressure from the current situation at this time. Not only him, but Wanda has never seen such a scene before. The blood from the top had already calmed down when he saw Sengoku Admiral appear on the stage, and the sweat continued to shed from his forehead. Only Lucar and Bullet didn't seem to feel any pressure, and even wanted to continue the stalemate. Nishizawa made an absolute right away and stabbed Lucar in the arm with his hand. Old Lu, it's almost there. We won't cause more trouble for Sengoku when we first came to the headquarters. I think Sengoku Admiral already understands the situation and will take measures against these moths. It is really bad to kill people here at the headquarters. After Sengoku heard Nishizawa's words, he was still relieved that at last a sensible person came out to persuade him. Advertisement. He really doesn't want to do it here. Regardless of Lucar's strength, the reputation of Marine will be affected by doing it here. Of course, with the current strength of Lucar, Sengoku estimates that if he does his hands, it is estimated that the aftermath of the battle between the two can dismantle half of the headquarters. He is very aware of the destructive power of Logia Demon Fruit power. But when Sengoku had listened to Nishizawa's words completely, several black lines flashed across his forehead. Why is it threatening? These words were only spoken after they had already taken the shot. They were meant to be told to me. In the end, Sengoku nodded and responded, let go of Todd Vice Admiral first, and we will deal with the follow-up matters. Dunlop Borg on the side was a bit dissatisfied. He felt that Sengoku's remarks were to be handled privately as long as Todd is safe. How could this satisfy him? He wanted to at least kick Lucar out of Marine. However, just as Borg wanted to speak, Sengoku turned his head and glanced at him severely, making him hold back the words. Lucar looked at Nishizawa with some puzzlement. He didn't know how the other party took a step back at this moment. When he saw Nishizawa's eyes, for an instant, the tacit understanding between the two made him understand Nishizawa's thoughts. He nodded silently and said loudly to everyone present, okay, I believe Sengoku Admiral will deal with it fairly. This kind of garbage is not worthy of Marine. No matter what aristocratic status, as long as I see you make this kind of oppresses civilians and violates justice, so be prepared to accept my sanctions. These words directly conveyed to the ears of all Marines who were present, blatantly proclaiming his determination. Afterwards, Lucar severely threw Todd Vice Admiral to the ground. Sakazuki, who looked a little serious in the distance, looked at this scene and smiled seldom. Oh, Sakazuki, how come you look so happy? Didn't Lucar let off that noble Marine? Poor Solino noticed the change in the expression of his old classmate beside him sharply, and asked in surprise. He and Sakazuki have known each other for many years, and they rarely see each other smiling, and they always have a stiff face, as if everyone owes him money. Lucar is finally not so rigid, otherwise I don't want to see Marine without Lucar. Sakazuki chuckled. He knew Lucar better than most people. The two are so alike in some respects, many people now consider themselves to be the most extreme among the radical factions. But he knew that in some respects, Lucar was more extreme than himself, even stubborn. When Lucar let go of Todd, Sakazuki thought that the other party had grown a bit, not as stubborn as he was. In Sakazuki's mind, such Lucar would go farther than originally, otherwise it would be difficult for him to be promoted again and become Marine Admiral. The world government will never allow disobedient Marines to become Marine Admiral. Even Garp often obeys the tasks of the world government. But what Sakazuki didn't expect was that his inner thoughts were completely lost, and Lucar's inner thoughts were completely different from what he thought. The most important reason why Lucar would let go of Todd is that Nishizawa looked at him in his eyes. Before letting go of Todd, he had already said silently in his heart. Feel the anger from the earth. The heart of the earth. Chapter 182. Advertisement. Todd, who had passed out of a coma, didn't even know the changes in his heartbeat. Such invisible fluctuations could not be detected even in Marine's infirmary at the headquarters. Everyone present did not expect that Lucar seemed forced by Sengoku Admiral's deterrence to obey the order and let Todd die. But in fact, Todd's life has been counted down. As soon as the opponent leaves Marineford, his life will usher in the end. Lucar didn't believe that such a noble Marine would stay in this department forever. This time there was such a big conflict, Lucar could basically think that the other party would definitely be unable to bear it. It is a very high possibility to go to the Saint World government to file a lawsuit for the removal of soldiers. Even if the opponent stays in the headquarters and Lucar is there, the opponent will not be better off. Borg Vice Admiral immediately helped Todd on the ground and handed it to Connor, so that the other party rushed to the infirmary. And he himself, of course, wants to stay. He will never leave without seeing Lucar's punishment with his own eyes. He believes that Sengoku Admiral is here, and this Lucar will definitely not dare to shoot again. Sengoku Admiral, take down this unruly B************ D Marine. It's too rampant, and I dare to threaten Admiral's arrival. Sengoku raised his brows. He hadn't thought of how to deal with the subsequent troubles. The aristocratic Marine next to him jumped out first and dared to order himself. He immediately fixed his gaze on Borg, and said solemnly, "Are you teaching me to do things? Don't dare. Don't dare." I was so mad at this Marine's behavior that I accidentally offended Sengoku Admiral. After Borg felt the pressure from Sengoku, his cold sweat instantly shed, only to realize that he had said something wrong. Years of being in a high position, coupled with the status of the noble Marine many years ago, made him forget for a moment that he was standing next to Admiral, who was even higher than him. Humph. Sengoku snorted coldly, and after warning the guy, he ignored it. To be honest, when he faced these so-called noble Marines, he was still somewhat disgusted. These people are still thinking about the glory of the past, and now they only enjoy the honor and benefits that Marine brings, but they do not assume the obligations that Marine should do. Guys like Todd who make money from the branch are not a few. This group of guys have forgotten how the glory of the nobleman Marine was obtained, but it is not just about giving financial resources. Several batches of first-generation noble Marines did not do what they are now. They also went out to sea to kill pirates, but they did not become mobs that only hide behind. Sengoku first glanced at the surrounding Marine, frowned, and said loudly. "What are you all watching here? Have you all completed your tasks? Don't hurry up and do things." Then he turned his head to look at Lucar. "Lucar, come with me on your side, I want to talk to you." Sengoku didn't stay here anymore. He didn't want to continue talking about this matter in front of everyone, and then walked directly inside the base. The surrounding Marines saw Sengoku Admiral speak, and there was nothing to watch at the scene, so they slowly dispersed and left. However, all Marines who were on the scene were full of excitement as they left, discussing what had just happened. Is that the Jushi Vice Admiral? It is said to be the top student of the first recruit training camp. This is the first time I have seen myself in the headquarters. This is too hockey. It's really hard and strong. You didn't see the most exciting scene when you came too late. That Todd Vice Admiral didn't even touch the boulder. Vice Admiral fell to his knees. I was stunned by that scene. Hey, do you know this giant Vice Admiral well? I haven't heard anything about it in the past 2 years. The last speaker was a soldier who had been a Marine in the headquarters for a short time. Hey, what do you know? 2 years ago, Vice Admiral's record was a regular guest in the news. The legendary big pirate Akoku who previously informed New World was wiped out by Vice Admiral. So awesome. Boulder Vice Admiral is no better than Akainu Vice Admiral. Advertisement. This is really hard to say. I heard that these two Vice Admiral graduated from the first batch of recruit training camps. Together with Kazaru Vice Admiral, they are called the Three Monster Marines. No wonder it's so strong. Do you think Admiral will be the three of them in the future? It's very possible, but Rear Admiral, a newly emerged young child in the past 2 years, is not so famous. Sakazuki and Pelusolino who were about to leave quietly listened to the discussion of the surrounding Marines. In their hearts, if there are 3 Admiral promoted, it must be the 3 of them. Xingzi is still too tender for them. Although everyone has left, it is conceivable that what happened today will spread throughout the naval headquarters in no time. At the gate of the base, Lucar followed Sengoku alone, leaving Nishizawa and the others to stay below and wait for the result. Borg Vice Admiral was still on the scene, and he also wanted to follow up, trying to know how the decision was made this time. But at the door, Bullet stopped in front of him, blocking his way in. What do you want to do? Borg glared. Nothing. Sengoku Admiral didn't call you again. Nishizawa put his arms on his chest and said with a smile. Obviously, Bullet did it deliberately in accordance with his arrangement, and he didn't want this cheap-mouthed guy to go up and spoil the situation. Otherwise, he is worried that with Lucar's temper, it is very likely that he will shoot directly in the office. Huh, sure enough, that barbaric Marine subordinates have no rules. First am Marine Vice Admiral. You dare to stop me with such a low rank. After that, Borg Vice Admiral intends to push hard. He doesn't believe that these Marines with lower ranks dare to do it. Bullet, stop him. As long as he dares to do it first, grab him. I want to see if anyone besides Lao Lu will do it at the door of the headquarters. Nishizawa didn't panic at all, and told the other party generously. In the previous collision between the two sides, he had already learned about the opponent's personal strength. At this level, it is estimated that even Bullet's defense could not be broken. It's too delicious. If the other party dares to try, then let this so-called noble Vice Admiral lose face again. Anyway, Lucar had done this kind of thing once, and they had nothing to worry about. Borg Vice Admiral stopped immediately, glanced at the unusually strong Marine in front of him, compared his own strengths, and immediately dispelled the idea of rushing. In case he hadn't been beaten, he would be embarrassed again if he was taken down by a Commodore. Don't think about these useless things. If old Lu doesn't come down, don't even think about going up. Nishizawa's words drifted by slowly, making Borg Vice Admiral's complexion green, and there was no such aristocratic demeanor when he first met. HMPH, wait, this is not over. Borg, who had no choice but to snorted coldly, left a harsh word, and left angrily. Wow, brother, you are so handsome today. Standing behind Nishizawa, Wanda looked at his brother with admiration. He seemed to have never seen his brother have such a hockey before, and forced a headquarter, Marine Vice Admiral, to retreat. It's just normal operation. How can a waste Vice Admiral fight me? Nishizawa smiled faintly, as if he had driven away a bug just now. However, there was a hint of solemnity in his eyes, and he was somewhat worried about the way Sengoku Admiral handled it. Chapter 183, Sengoku with a headache. Advertisement. Sengoku Admiral's office. Lucar and Sengoku sat on the side separately, no one spoke for a while, and the atmosphere in the room was a bit solemn. Lucar you. Alas. Sengoku was a little speechless, facing his direct subordinates, suddenly he didn't know what to say. You know that Lucar has been under his management since graduation. He has witnessed Lucar's continuous growth step by step. Sengoku's character has already been figured out by Sengoku. This is a very stubborn Marine. As long as it is a matter of justice, this Marine has unshakable persistence, which sometimes makes it difficult for many people to step down. Sengoku Admiral, I think you can understand me the previous suggestions downstairs. Marine should be reorganized a bit. You can't let Marine's reputation be ruined by these mothworms. Lucar thought for a while and felt that he should stick to his plan. Admiral's support is needed if it is to be implemented. I know what you mean, but if you don't look at what time it is, you will shoot at the gate of the base. Do you know it will bring more influence to Marine? Moreover, this thing can't be done so easily. There are many situations that need to be considered. Hearing Lucar's stubborn opinion, Sengoku had a headache. Sometimes he felt that talking to Lucar was a bit like playing the piano. I understand, I know what to do next. Lucar suddenly realized after listening. It turns out that this is the case, this time point is indeed not suitable, the next time you do not choose to be at the gate of the base. Sengoku Admiral does need to consider a lot, and then I will do it all. I don't need to think about that much, anyway, I don't care about promotion. Well, you can understand. Sengoku just nodded in satisfaction, and suddenly his face changed aloud and asked, wait, what do you understand? What do you want to do next? Just now he thought that Lucar had listened to him, but this familiar smell made Sengoku feel wrong instantly. At first, this guy seemed to say the same thing, but in the end it seemed that the result was different from what he expected. Don't worry, Sengoku Admiral, I will continue to help you clean up after this new world is over, and I will never do anything at the gate of the base. Lucar firmly assured that he thought he would not cause trouble for Sengoku Admiral this time. Do you really understand this? What I said didn't seem to mean it. No, you can't talk to Lucar alone next time, you have to pull Nishizawa together. Fortunately, I turned around and asked, otherwise this B*********** D would really mess up without me knowing. Sengoku wiped the cold sweat coming out of his head with his hands, and didn't know if he was out of breath or scared. Ah, what I said is not what I meant. I will talk to you about this matter after the New World battle is over. You must never do this again. Remember, wait until I come back and I will confirm with you before doing anything. Quote. For the past 2 days, you and Nishizawa will calm down, wait quietly when you go back, and get ready for this sailing. Sengoku calmly thought about it, and decided to think about New World's things first, give him some time to consider and discuss, and use delaying tactics. After all, it takes too many forces to rectify the internal Marine, and it absolutely cannot be as rude as Lucar. It needs to plan a whole set of processes. As for this incident, no matter how you took action against your colleagues at the base, you violated the regulations. This time you will be punished and demoted to Rear Admiral. I will report to Marshal Sora later. In the end, Sengoku gave Lucar a penalty. Advertisement. The rules still need to be established, otherwise he is really worried that other Marines will learn this behavior. Within Marine, there are really many radical factions, Marine, and the temperament is not worse than Lucar. Oh, then I will wait for the New World mission to finish before discussing with Sengoku Admiral. Lucar nodded, and thought for a moment that Sengoku Admiral, known as the resourceful general, would participate in the follow-up, and it could indeed complement his cleaning plan. Of course, he also listened to the first part of Sengoku's words, and directly ignored the subsequent punishment. Relegated to Rear Admiral. Is this punishment? A promotion is not just about killing a group of pirates. Seeing that Sengoku didn't want to continue the conversation, Lucar said goodbye and got up and left. Sengoku Admiral was left alone in the office and sighed silently. Hey, chatting with this kid is really exhausting. I never know what the other person is listening to. It's even more tiring than chatting with Garp. One likes to talk to you, and the other is not the same thing about what you think. No, next time I have to come in and chat with Lassize, and talk to Lucar again, I can't help but want to do something about it. After this separate interview between the two, Sengoku has set a new rule for himself. There is no way. Although Lucar's marine is too capable of causing troubles, it is difficult to control, and it seems that it is not suitable for staying in the internal complicated marine system. But it's even more impossible to get rid of Lucar's level of marine. The opponent's strength cannot make marine give up. The improvement in strength is amazing. When confronting downstairs, Sengoku clearly felt the strength of the opponent, and it was very likely that he had already reached the threshold of Admiral level strength. In addition to Lucar, the youth Douglas Bullet, who joined Marine from a franchise country halfway through, is also quite powerful and exudes amazing aura. And this young man had not received the training of naval headquarters, it was completely cultivated by Lucar alone. Sengoku could see from the opponent's eyes that no matter what the situation, that Bullet was completely on Lucar's side. This level of combat power is still very scarce inside Marine, and it is impossible to get Lucar to the opposite side for a few dragging nobles, Vice Admiral. The most important thing is that although Lucar, the Marine, is a bit reckless, his attitude towards justice is definitely not worse than any Marine. Sengoku rubbed his temples. The B************* D Garp had come back to the head office in the past 2 days. In addition, Lucar and Sakazuki, one of the representatives of the radicals, and the preparations for the New World plan all overwhelmed him at once. Facing all these troublesome things and characters, for a moment, Sengoku didn't want to be Marine Admiral anymore. After staying in the office for more than 10 minutes, Sengoku reluctantly accepted the current facts after a long sigh. Slowly got up and walked to the Marshal's office. With so many things happening, he still needs to report to Marshal Sora. Now that Sengoku can share some things, only Marshal Marine, who is even more inextricable, is calm. On the other side, Lucar had already gone downstairs and told Nishizawa about the conversation with Sengoku above. After Nishizawa let out a long sigh of relief, they walked together to his small house in the headquarters. Along the way, Lucar and his party seemed to have become star figures in Marine, and all the passing Marines looked at them one after another. With this level of treatment, only Zephyr and Garp were the only people with the highest Marine reputation. Chapter 184 Zephyr's Heart Knot. Advertisement. After returning to the house, Lucar and his group moved in after a brief cleaning. Fortunately, people often come to clean this house, otherwise it has been vacant for more than 3 years and it has already been covered with dust. This cleaning person is not someone, but Zephyr Admiral. Most of the time, Zephyr arranges cleaning staff to come and clean, and occasionally he will come in person when there is time. Zephyr has been teaching in recruit training camps for several sessions, but it is Lucar who has the deepest relationship with the trainees, the first trainee. Even if West Blue stayed for 3 years, the two occasionally used phone worms to reminisce about the past. In the evening, Zephyr had already received what Lucar had done after returning to the headquarters during the day, and hurried over. Ha ha ha, you kid, you actually did something I always wanted to do but didn't do it. I've long seen those bastards upset. Zephyr laughed heartily and patted Lucar's shoulder vigorously with his hands. You must know that the time when he and Garp rose up, it happened to be the last glorious period of the Noble Marine, and their civilian Marine faction had a lot of conflicts with each other. Teacher Zephyr, don't worry, Sengoku Admiral has promised me that after this New World mission is over, he will rectify the Marine internally. In Lucar's mind, Sengoku's words have confirmed the cleaning plan with him, but the plan needs to be improved later. Oh, Sengoku actually agreed. I didn't expect him to be so bold this time. I thought he would delay this matter for a while. Zephyr's eyes widened, surprised. He was very clear about how many other forces restrained Sengoku in his position, and this time he was so bold in supporting his disciples' actions, which was somewhat unexpected by Zephyr. Zephyr has to admire Sengoku's courage a little, no wonder this guy can become Marshal Sora's successor. That is, Sengoku Admiral can definitely see the harm of these boars in Marine. Lucar suddenly thought of something, narrowing the distance with Zephyr, and whispering to Zephyr. By the way, teacher, I killed Ian, a senior official of the world government in West Blue. According to Nishizawa's investigation, this B***********D may be related to the teacher's accident. The moment he heard the news, Zephyr's pupils dilated and he immediately turned his head to look at Nishizawa. Nishizawa knew what Lucar was talking about and nodded seriously. Teacher, our shot was safe, and the world government did not catch any evidence. After Zephyr got the confirmation message, his eyes were red, and he forcibly resisted not crying in front of his disciples. The deep hatred a few years ago has been suffocated in Zephyr's heart. Every night, he can always dream of his wife falling on a pool of blood. Now I suddenly learned at this time that my disciples had taken revenge, and Zephyr's emotions were indescribably complicated. And Zephyr knew that his disciple's strength was still suppressed in West Blue for 3 full years, and it must be inseparable from this matter. After a few minutes, Zephyr suppressed his emotions, stepped forward and took Lucar and Zeisa's shoulders, leaned in his arms, and said in a low voice. Don't talk about this matter anymore. The world government has a lot of eavesdropping methods. Don't mess with these things for my old fellow. Then they let go of the two, the smile hung on Zephyr's face again, and he laughed loudly. Well, let's not talk about other things. We have not seen each other for 3 years, master and apprentice. We must have a good drink tonight and not get drunk. Haha, then accompany the teacher to have a good drink. Bullet will help bring my Tibetan wine. Lucar responded with a smile, only Nishizawa nodded in agreement with a bitter smile. The party drank until 2 o'clock in the morning, and only Lucar remained the end of the battle. Zephyr woke up for a drink on Lucar's side before bidding farewell and leaving. He still has teaching tasks to do tomorrow, so he didn't stay here. Along the way, the shaky Zephyr walked towards the training camp. Advertisement. Under the faint moonlight, Zephyr could be seen smiling all the time. But what no one saw was that Zephyr's flushed face was full of tears, completely soaking his face. For Zephyr, today is a special day, let this tough guy with a steel will reveal his fragile side. The next day, Lucar and his party didn't really go out to make trouble, and planned to abide by Sengoku Admiral's arrangement. After all, this new world mission is definitely not a trivial matter. This time, all 5 corps of Medgai on board the Boulder warship, and the rest of the soldiers stayed on the Boulder warship. In this mission, the Lucar 5 directly boarded the large warship of Sengoku Admiral, and the Mega Stone stayed in the headquarters. In the event of a large-scale war, the firepower on large warships is the key core of the war, which is much stronger than medium warships. This mission is obviously based on large warships as the main force. In the afternoon, 2 uninvited guests walked into Lucar's small building. What, Sakazuki, are you staying at the headquarters? HMPH, such a big thing, I don't know why the marshal asked me to stay behind. Sakazuki replied unwillingly. On this voyage, Lucar and Pelusolino both set off with Sengoku, while Sakazuki stayed at the headquarters, which made him very dissatisfied. How could there be no him in the matter of killing the pirate? Brother Sakazuki, how about you discuss with Sengoku Admiral again, and I will stay at the headquarters. Pelusolino was lying on the sofa in Lucar's living room leisurely, not thinking of himself as an outsider. However, he was also surprised by the assignment this time. Sengoku Admiral actually took him with him, but did not bring Sakazuki, who wanted to fight with the pirates more. Sengoku Admiral seems to be a little dissatisfied with me being a radical. Sakazuki guessed some of the reasons in his mind. Sengoku Admiral is often dissatisfied with the behavior of radicals also known as hawks. And he just happened to join it. It is estimated that he has been involved in some. But there is no way, the radicals are relatively strong in marine strength, but they are too radical, which makes things more stable. Sengoku is not very satisfied. These radical marines often affected Sengoku's original plan, and most of the marines who provoked trouble were radical marines. You would actually join these boring factions. You might as well go out to sea to kill a few more pirates. Lucar couldn't understand Sakazuki's purpose. You have been away from the headquarters for too long. Now the internal faction is getting better and better. With the support of the faction, Marine's road forward will be more stable. Sakazuki responded with a sneer, he didn't explain the next sentence clearly. If you want to be promoted to Admiral, you must also need internal support. Admiral can't fight alone. Like the current Sengoku, there are many Marine generals under his command, including Lucar as one of them. If Vice Admiral is still on the front line, Admiral is more inclined to manage deterrence. Pelusolino on the side was silent, listening quietly to Sakazuki's analysis. I seem to be too salty, do I need to have subordinates if I want to be promoted to Admiral? So troublesome. But there is some truth. Lucar has the support of several core members of his own, and Sakazuki has the support of radicals. And I still don't seem to have any subordinates. I don't like the faction of Garp Vice Admiral very well, and it's not easy to integrate into it. By the way, Marine seems to have newly established a scientific research department, and the main core seems to be Dr. Vegapunk. I can fight for this. Poor Solino's eyes hidden under the little yellow sunglasses flashed with a gleam, and soon he made a decision in his heart. Chapter 185 Nishizawa's Suggestion. Advertisement. Cut. I'm not interested in these factions, it's enough for me to have my crew. Lucar lowered his mouth, he didn't know the specific situation of the headquarters, and he had not returned to the headquarters in the past 2 years. When he finished saying this, Sakazuki and Pelusolino had envious eyes at the same time. How can it be so easy to train your own subordinates? Who would have such good luck with you to bring out a group of such excellent marine subordinates? Sakazuki regretted that he didn't pull Zeiss into his camp. He and Pelusolino had already learned about the crew information on Lucar's side. Only Nishizawa, a classmate who was with him at the beginning, is quite almighty in terms of strength and planning. The bullet recruited by Lucar later made Sakazuki a little jealous. This monster-level talented marine cannot be found casually in the ocean. As early as 2 years ago, Bullet defeated the Broken Pioneer, and the information of the 2 great pirates of the Queen Bee spread throughout Marine. These 2 are not simple characters, they are both famous big pirates in New World. This man joined Marines bullet halfway through, and many people admire Lucar's vision for being able to discover this kind of genius. Forget it. Where did Nishizawa go? I originally wanted to ask Nishizawa if there was any way to let me join this New World mission. Sakazuki didn't want to continue to talk about this topic with Lucar, and he was really sour after the conversation. Although he joined the radicals in Marine, he is quite strong in terms of strength. But after all, the time is too short, and he alone can make the final decision for the whole faction. The true leader of the radical faction is a veteran Vice Admiral, the Cancer, Gangsenda Vice Admiral, who has been stationed on the important island of Sabayati Archipelago for a long time. Old Lu, I'm back, the things on the warship have been arranged. At exactly this time, Nishizawa walked into the yard with the cover from outside. Yo, Sakazuki, Pelusalino, you two were here too. At this time, he found out that Lucar had a visitor, and he was still two old acquaintances. Brother Nishizawa, it's been a long time. Pelusalino waved his hand and said hello first, and the relationship between the two has always been good during the recruit training camp. The two of them had the best results in the cultural course of the first class of students, and the exchanges between the two students are also quite a lot. Nishizawa laughed and joked. Haha, you still look the same, you don't seem motivated, why are you two here together today? Later, Nishizawa found a place to sit down and learned about the situation on Sakazuki's side. Although the New World mission is very dangerous this time, they are all faced with the top pirates of New World. But for Sakazuki, these are not problems. He wants to participate in this incident more than staying in the headquarters. Eliminating the pirates has always been Sakazuki's pursuit. After pondering for a while, Nishizawa thought for a while and decided to help Sakazuki. Regardless of the conflict between Lucar and Sakazuki in the early years, the other party still gave a lot of important information during the last reunion. Lucar has always owed the other side a favor, and Nishizawa should help the other side for things like this that can be resolved. Later, Nishizawa watched Sakazuki put forward his suggestion. Sakazuki, this time the New World mission is Sengoku Admiral as the main person in charge. If he disagrees, I have no good way on this route. When Sakazuki frowned slightly after listening, Nishizawa continued, since this plan doesn't work, I suggest that you can find Garp Vice Admiral. Advertisement. Sakazuki questioned. Garp Vice Admiral. At the same time, Pelusalino added, isn't Garp Vice Admiral also not participating in this mission? Nishizawa's face remained unchanged when faced with the two people's doubts, and confidently explained, as far as I know, Garp Vice Admiral should be able to return to the headquarters tomorrow, just in time for the departure time. Sakazuki, follow Garp Vice Admiral on your side. If you do, you can definitely go to New World. This New World mission involves the Roger Pirates. Based on what I have learned about Garp Vice Admiral over the years, he will never give up this mission. If Garp Vice Admiral wants to participate, I want the Marshal to follow Admiral is not so good to stop it. On the Boulder, all the information is basically processed by Nishizawa. He is not like Lucar who pays no attention to internal information. Nishizawa is quite familiar with Garp Vice Admiral, an important general in Marine, especially the relationship between Garp and Roger the Great Pirate. The relationship between the two sometimes makes Nishizawa think that they are all in the same group, and to describe it in one word is to fall in love and kill each other. When Nishizawa knew that this mission involved the Roger Pirates, he would be sure that Garp would be unavoidable to go after he learned the news. Sakazuki was silent for 10 seconds, digesting the information and advice given by Nishizawa. Finally, he nodded to Nishizawa and said, thanks to Nishizawa, your suggestion is very good, I will go back and try it. After completing the purpose of coming this time, Sakazuki didn't intend to stay here anymore, and got up to say goodbye to Lucar to leave. Lucar, you are so lucky to have Nishizawa recruited to your ship. If Garp can handle it, we will see you in New World. I will surely wipe out all these criminal pirates, you just look at me. Perform it. Hehe, you can get this task first, and I will kill more pirates than you. Lucar unceremoniously counterattacked that he was not afraid of anyone in the execution of justice to eliminate the pirates. Sitting aside, Nishizawa and Pelusalino looked at each other and smiled at each other. Only in this regard, these two stubborn guys will show a little naive comparison behavior. Pelusalino did not leave with Sakazuki. He came here this time just to recount the old together. The few people present are basically his friends for many years. In the ensuing time, Pelusalino often complained about the need to work overtime by Sengoku's side and frequent business trips to solve important tasks. Hey, I really envy you. There are many companions who work together to cooperate. On the headquarters side, because of my fruitful ability, basically all things need to be solved by me personally. Porsarino, why didn't you join Marine's internal faction here? Nishizawa asked curiously, since the other party has no direct subordinates, why not join the internal faction like Sakazuki? The internal environment of the moderate group, also known as the Dovish group, where Garp Vice Admiral is located is still relatively good. Nishizawa believes that Pelusalino's character is actually more suitable to enter. Hey, Nishizawa, you are not at Marine. I don't know. The relationship between the moderates and the radicals has become more and more rigid in the past 2 years. There are often conflicts. I don't want to participate in these boring things. Pelusalino pouted and said reluctantly. But I have some goals now, maybe next time I won't be such a polished commander. Stop talking about these things, the wine that you didn't finish drinking with Teacher Zephyr last night, Pelusalino, don't leave, and accompany me tonight before leaving. Lucar was not very interested in these topics and interrupted. Then he got up and went to get the wine, regardless of whether Pelusolino agreed. It's rare to meet so many old friends. When I came back to this department, of course, I met them together in his favorite way. Lucar, you drunkard, you haven't changed, so let's play with you today. Poor Solino narrowed his eyes and did not refuse. Chapter 186. Advertisement. 2 days later, Marine reorganized the day of departure. Dozens of large warships parked in Moon Bay, occupying a large number of positions. With this level of military power, everyone can see that this Marine's operation has been fully fired. Of course, what you may face this time is the New World Roger pirates, the Flying Pirates, and the Whitebeard pirates. These pirates deserve such attention from Marine. At this time, the entire naval headquarters sounded harsh sirens. Marshal Marine's office. A phone worm placed on the marshal's desk heard a voice. Marshal Sora, Ed Walhy, Roger has contacted Golden Lion in New World. At this time, in the office, besides Marshal Kong, there is also a Marine general in a black suit and a Marine justice coat. It is Garp, Vice Admiral. When Garp also heard this message, he turned around with a look of excitement, and said, "Look, the opportunity is here." And Marshal Sora shouted from behind Garp, "Stop. Garp, I haven't finished my words yet." Garp didn't pay attention at all, walked directly to the door and stopped, turning his head to respond, "You haven't finished what you said, but I have already heard it." After speaking, he walked out without opening the door directly, and closed the door severely. "Garp, stop for me." The only response to Marshal Kong was the closed door. He suddenly felt his blood pressure rise a little, and the veins on his head violently. One by one, "It's all like this, do you still take me as a marshal in your eyes?" Marshal Sora kept roaring in his heart. He had just dealt with the Lucar fight 2 days ago, and now there is Garp's wanton action. He is really tired of being a marshal. He wondered if he should find a chance to retire early and give way to Sengoku to manage this group of thorns. Garp, who had left, walked straight to the outside, followed by 2 of his direct subordinates behind him. At this time, a Marine who was more than 3 meters tall flashed to Garp's side, with Kabuto in his trousers in his hands, and a dark blue hat on his head. The seagull logo representing Marine was printed in the center of the hat. Xing-Ji looked at Garp with a look of admiration. "Mr. Garp, you refused to be promoted to Admiral again, you are so handsome." Garp didn't care, and replied casually, "If you want to be free, you don't need such a high status." Then immediately turned to the other side around him. At some unknown time, several Marines appeared on the other side of Garp. "Xiaohei, after sailing, let me take me a ride by the way." He Vice Admiral replied with a look of disgust, "The attack request hasn't come down yet, the ship will be destroyed by you soon, I don't want you to board it." Obviously, Vice Admiral is well aware of Garp's style. She has been pitted by Garp several times, and she doesn't want to suffer anymore. "Don't say that, Roger must be solved by me," Garp said with a smile. He knew Xiaohei wouldn't be so unrelenting, and this time with his combat power, it would bring a lot of advantages to Marine. Sakazuki, who was walking in front, lowered the brim of his hat and said nothing. Obviously, the advice given by Nishizawa worked, and he successfully joined Garp's queue. The group quickly walked to the Moon Bay dock, where the Marine fleet, ready to go, was docked. Standing on the deck of a large warship, Sengoku quickly spotted Garp and his party, and saw these people who had not planned to join in. Sengoku immediately knew who was in charge this time. No one dared to do this except Garp, and immediately shouted at the bottom. Advertisement. "Garp, Shiki's matter has been handed over to us, go back soon." Knowing that he was discovered, Garp didn't panic at all, but smiled and waved his hand to Sengoku above. "Don't care, all the credit is for you." "That was not what I meant. Sengoku has a headache. This is another guy who has problems with reading comprehension." Puff ha ha ha. All that was waiting was Garp's bold laugh below. Everyone on the warship was watching the situation here. For them, Garp was more at ease. Several of them were newly recruited Rear Admiral who graduated from the Zephyr recruit training camp and discussed with a smile. One of them, the burning mountain with scumbags and cigars in his mouth, Rear Admiral smiled and said, "Does Sengoku Admiral and Garp Vice Admiral go out at the same time?" On his right side, the mole Rear Admiral with a mustache and a long knife pinned to his waist said, "After all, the opponent is Roger, and Garp Vice Admiral can't care about it." The words are full of admiration for Garp Vice Admiral, and it is obvious that this young Rear Admiral is also one of Garp's fans. On the left side of Huoshao Mountain, stood a fierce-faced Doberman Rear Admiral. The 3 of them were all Zephyr disciples of the same group. Daubman said with some excitement, "This time we will definitely be able to wipe out these lawless pirates. I just saw Akainu Vice Admiral and young Rear Admiral following Garp Vice Admiral. Counting on Sengoku Admiral's side. Kazaru Vice Admiral, Giant Stone Rear Admiral, all the previous monsters in our training camp are all here. Hey, what you said is really true, the strength of these seniors must be quite terrifying. Hey, can you finally see the strength of these monster seniors this time? We were a late class, and did not see the monster-level performance of the first seniors when the young child Rear Admiral enrolled. It is said that the seniors I sank an island before it was decided." Huo Shaoshan and Mole agreed and said that they were very excited to be able to set off with several monster seniors who were all influential figures in this mission. Although the 3 admired Garp Vice Admiral, Garp was a veteran and his age was quite different. There was a considerable gap between the 2 sides, which made them feel a little more in awe. However, Lucar and the others are almost like Marines of the same era, which makes them more interested in these seniors. While they were still discussing which of these monster seniors was stronger. On the other side, Sengoku stood on the warship looking at Garp, who was playing treasures. They both grew up step by step from marine soldiers. The Admiral identity of Sengoku could not suppress Garp's escape. At this moment, Vice Admiral really couldn't stand it anymore. He walked directly behind Garp, grabbed the collar of the opponent's back and dragged it to the warship. I can't get on the boat yet. If I drag it down, I'll leave first. He, Xiaohei, I'll get on the boat right away. Facing he Vice Admiral, Garp was not as casual as he did to Sengoku, and immediately followed he Vice Admiral, fearing that the other party would really fall behind. If anyone in naval headquarters can really suppress Garp, there is only Vice Admiral Crane. Sengoku finally sighed and said nothing more. He still wanted to give Vice Admiral's face. Sengoku, who had been paying attention to Garp, didn't notice. Lucar and Pelusolino, standing behind him, used their eyes to convey news from time to time, and Kakuzu smiled. It's as if two naughty students were passing small notes with their teacher on their back. The two behind him clearly saw that the guy Sakazuki boarded the Vice Admiral's ship in silence. Obviously, Nishizawa's plan was a smooth success. Seeing that all the personnel had arrived, Sengoku no longer entangled with Garp's affairs, and quickly gave the order, and the entire fleet immediately set off to advance in the direction of New World. Chapter 187. Advertisement. New World, the sea area of 8 Wall. The entire sky was gray and the clouds completely obscured the sunlight, making this sea area extremely depressing. At this time, 2 top pirate regiments entered this sea area. Roger Pirates, a young crew member holding his head in his hands, shook his head and cried loudly, Captain Roger. Life is the most important thing. Let's follow the Golden Lion first. This new crew member, who seems to have just joined the Roger Pirates for a short time, has a bright red round nose, like a circus clown, which is hard to forget. Beside him, a red-haired teenager wearing a straw hat looked at the red-nosed crew member and said with a smile, You have become incapable of slashing, what does it matter? There are also many weaknesses, idiot. The red-nosed crew member glared, and he seemed to be dissatisfied with the red-haired boy. They are 2 newly recruited trainee crew members from the Roger Pirates roaming around these years. The red-nosed is Buggy and the red-haired boy is Shanks. If anyone sees these 2 young trainee crew members, they will be surprised to find that the straw hats worn by Shanks are the same hats that Roger originally wore. At this moment, Buggy suddenly thought of something and turned to look at the crew member who was watching the show with a harpoon behind him. By the way, Mr. Kurokas, how's the captain's condition? Buggy said and ran to the other party, then asked with expectant eyes, It's not suitable for fighting yet. As a doctor, go and stop him. Kurokas brushed a spear with the harpoon in his hand and smiled slyly. Unfortunately, he is in good shape now. Buggy lowered his head in despair. He really didn't want to go to war with Golden Lion. He had already heard of the opponent's reputation and strength. A few years ago, he defeated Akoku, who is also a legendary big pirate, and his power is even stronger than before. On the Roger Pirates side, there was nothing to organize a fleet, only a lone pirate ship. Buggy thought that Roger's side was not an opponent at all. Buggy quickly raised his head and ran to the wisest person on the boat in his mind. Mr. Rayleigh. At this moment, suddenly a hand stretched out, grabbed his black hat, and grabbed it. Give up. We have been with Roger for so long and haven't been able to convince him yet. Wearing a pair of small black sunglasses, the deck with a ponytail said faintly that he is ready for this battle, and everything just waits for Roger to start the war signal. How come? Buggy cried out desperately. At the bow, Roger looked at the sea ahead with a smile, not paying too much attention to the things behind him. He believed that his crew would stand firmly behind him. Trust Tom's Golden Jackson. Rayleigh, who was standing next to Roger, said firmly, and then added softly, Roger has not much time. When he said this, the crew behind him were much quieter, and they all knew about this. A few years ago, Roger got a strange disease. His life has entered the countdown. This time he rebuilt a new pirate ship to go to sea. The rest are all to follow Roger on the final sailing adventure. The goal this time is unprecedentedly clear, which is to land on Raftel, the final island of the Grand Line before Roger's life ends. Rayleigh, this time there is too much movement. Marine will definitely not just watch. At this moment, Jabba let go of the hand-holding Buggy, and said what she was worried about in Rayleigh's position. Don't worry, New World is not Marine's territory, but here is the pirates' world. We have an agreement that Whitebeard will help us stop Marine and will not let Marine participate in our war. Rayleigh said calmly. They had already considered Marine the biggest factor off the court. Not only on his side, but also on Golden Lion's side, who had already reached an agreement with Whitebeard. Advertisement. This time it was an internal pirate war between the Roger Pirates and the Flying Pirates. Whitebeard's action was to prevent them from being disturbed by Marine. Jabba nodded. For some reason, thinking of Marine always reminded him of the young Marines he had played against. I don't know if they will come this time. If they come, Whitebeard will entertain them personally. It should make them feel the enthusiasm of the New World pirates even more. Thinking of this, Jabba couldn't help but smile. Under the impetus of the sea breeze, the Roger Pirates soon met their opponent, the Flying Pirates. In the sea area of 8 volume, the seemingly unequal forces on both sides met again. One side has only a single pirate ship, while the other is a huge fleet of dozens of pirate ships. At this moment, Rayleigh's eyes were also a bit solemn, and he felt the pressure from the opposite side. On the current boat, Only Roger still maintained a confident smile. Even in the face of such a strong opponent, he did not change his expression at all. At the forefront of the flying pirate regiment, it was the pirate ship under the seat of the Golden Lion. At this time, the Golden Lion was standing directly on the bow of a yellow golden lion head. How many times have I said this, Roger? Although we had a lot of grievances when we were young, forget about it. As long as you know the weapons that can destroy the world and my strength, plus the perfect plan that I spent years and years on. If you do, you can immediately rule the world. Golden Lion pointed his finger at Roger, then opened his hands and said proudly. Finally stretched out his right hand to Roger, clenched it into a fist, and shouted loudly. Be my right arm, Roger. Faced with Golden Lion's solicitation, Roger was unmoved and responded lightly. I have no interest in ruling the world, Shiki. If you don't want to do what you want to do, what's the point of being a pirate? No matter how much pressure you put on me, Golden Lion, I will reject your advice. With Roger's firm refusal, the waves below slammed against the ship, as if following the emotions of the two strong men, venting his anger. Buggy saw that the war was getting closer, and immediately took Roger's hand on the rails and cried, Stop talking, Captain, do you know that the enemy has dozens of ships? Trying to fight for the last chance to stop Roger and let this war end. Seeing Roger's unmovedness, when did Buggy want to say something? Get out of the way. Buggy, who didn't react, was pulled away by Rayleigh. In other words, your answer is to tell me to kill you here right now. Faced with Roger's refusal, Golden Lion began to look serious. Not only on the Golden Lion's side, all his crew also knew that this negotiation was basically hopeless, and it needed to be concluded by means of the last war. They believe that under the leadership of Golden Lion, they can definitely defeat Roger like the Akoku pirates. It means to crush all of you. Roger smiled and shouted out the war declaration. As soon as the voice fell, the Roger pirates, who was clearly inferior in number, took the lead in firing a shot at the flying pirates, which completely kicked off the prelude to the war. Roger and Golden Lion raised their famous knives and waved forward, and the firepower of both sides was turned on in an instant. Chapter 188 New World's Climate. Advertisement. On the other side, Marine's fleet quickly crossed the red line and entered the New World, heading all the way to the waters of Eight Wall. It is the first time for Lucar to come to New World. He has heard all kinds of New World news, but they have never seen it. What I didn't expect at first was that naval headquarters was so close to Red Line and passed through the exclusive channel of Red Line in just a few hours. Is this the New World? Pelusolino, have you been here before? Lucar frowned and said, stretched out one hand to hold it upward, and controlled the fruit ability to condense a 100-meter-long round stone shield that stabilized above the warship. Above this huge rock shield, hailstones of several meters thick were constantly falling from the sky. Boom, boom, boom. These hail smashed crazily on the stone shield, constantly making huge impacts. The weird weather of New World seems to be using this method to welcome the arrival of Marines. I've been here once before, I haven't encountered this kind of weather, New World is really terrible. Pelusolino lay on the railing, looking up curiously. Although the hail falling from the sky looks very scary, it is not too dangerous for the Marine fleet, which can be said to be an all-armed attack. All the generals and masters on the warship took action one after another to solve the threat from the sky. If this kind of weather is everywhere in New World, it would be too bad. No wonder they always call the first half of the Grand Line a paradise. This climate alone can make it difficult for a large number of newcomers to enter New World. Quote. Lucar couldn't help but feel that if their fleet were not too powerful, and generally weak ships, it would very likely be directly destroyed by this ghostly weather. Don't worry, Lucar, this time I entered this sea in a hurry. After I go out, it will be much better. The movement from the sky was so loud that Sengoku couldn't help but walk onto the deck. Oh, but the climate of New World is indeed too unpredictable. Any weird weather will appear. This is also a problem that makes it difficult for our Marine to enter New World. Sengoku sighed, a little helpless. New World's various harsh climates have raised a lot of barriers. It is a problem for people with weak strength to enter New World and even survive. Like Marine with a huge population base, there are not so many powerful Marines entering the New World, otherwise Marine would not be in such a passive situation in New World. Lucar nodded in silence, and there was no good way to deal with this kind of weather. Only the improvement of Marine's overall strength could have a chance. Well, don't be discouraged. The recruit training camp is set up to increase Marine's overall strength. The training camp is not only a few talents from you, even ordinary students, the overall strength is stronger than the previous soldiers. Quote. Sengoku felt that talking about New World was a bit depressing, and immediately relieved the atmosphere. And what he said is the truth, the role of recruit training camp has not been fully demonstrated yet. In the past few years alone, a large number of lieutenants and school officers have been trained, and a large number of middle-level Marines have been increased. Sengoku can think of the terrible improvement in Marine strength in a few decades. At that time, it may be difficult for the world government to be completely restrained. Soon, a ray of sunlight dragged across the thick clouds, illuminating the sea ahead. The movement from above stopped. Obviously, they had successfully passed through the Hail Sea area just now. Advertisement. Lucar threw the huge stone shield above and the broken ice on the shield together to the distant sea, splashing a large wave of waves. Brother Lucar, have your fruit power awakened now? Pelusolino asked curiously. He felt that Lucar's strength had improved too much, and he couldn't condense such a large area of rocks when he was on the ship. Lucar shook his head and said, "Not yet, I haven't stopped training in the past few years, but I always feel a lot worse, but I don't know where it is." He knows very well that he has improved to a high level in the use of fruit abilities, but there is still a lot of gap from the awakening in the rumors. Just the power of the Earth's core from the starburst still poses the same threat to oneself. Excessive use of it will lead to a life crisis. It's a pity that there is no way to awaken fruitful abilities in Marine. Every awakened ability can only be awakened by some luck. Oh, awakening is indeed a bit difficult. Pelusolino sighed. Okay, don't talk anymore, keep it in good condition. After passing this sea area, you will almost reach the sea area of 8 Wall. Sengoku interrupted their small talk. As the main person in charge of this operation, he was under great pressure. If this core fleet is left in New World, Marine's development process will be directly interrupted, and it will even go back many years. At this time, a Marine soldier ran out of the cabin in a hurry, with a clear goal, and ran directly to Sengoku. Sengoku Admiral, I have received the latest movement of the Whitebeard pirates. The opponent did not enter the waters of 8 volume. Now the opponent is directly advancing towards our army. According to the analysis of the intelligence team, it is expected that it will be in direct contact with our army in 2 hours. Arrive. The Marine soldier quickly reported the intelligence information to Sengoku Admiral. I see, you immediately notify the other warships, everyone is ready for battle, the war has come. Sengoku said solemnly. The Whitebeard pirates is not a small role, even if there is such a strong fleet behind him, it deserves to be taken so seriously. For a while, Lucar and Pelusolino's expressions also sank, and the name of the Whitebeard pirate group also puts a lot of pressure on them. What I didn't expect was that I would run into it so soon. After a few minutes, everyone gathered on the warship Sengoku was on, including Garp, Crane, Akainu and others. You already know things. Although you don't know what Whitebeard's purpose is for, the other party's goal is very clear. It is our fleet. Everyone should be prepared for battle. After seeing that the people arrived, Sengoku didn't talk about it, and directly explained the current situation. After all, there is not much time left, and soon they will directly meet the Whitebeard pirates, which can only speed up the meeting. Puff ha ha ha, Whitebeard doesn't seem to want us to participate in the Roger pirates. It looks like that old guy is unwilling to be lonely. Garp said with a bold smile, he still knows the people of Whitebeard quite well. Garp alone looked the most relaxed, compared to the others, who seemed particularly pressure-free, as if these were not his opponents. HMPH, this group of pirates really think this sea area is their own, this time they will eliminate the Whitebeard pirate group first. Regardless of the purpose of the Whitebeard pirates, kill them before destroying Roger and the Golden Lion pirates. At this time, the speeches of the 2 Marines attracted everyone's attention, and it was Sakazuki and Lucar. I have to say that in facing the pirates, the attitude of the 2 people is the same and determined, even the Whitebeard pirates can't let them dispel the idea of killing the pirates. Chapter 189 Whitebeard Strikes. Advertisement. As the 2 of Lucar spoke, the originally depressive atmosphere in the conference room eased a lot. Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, what a terrible nirvana. Ah, it is really exciting to face the Whitebeard pirates this time. Captain, is the man named Whitebeard the strongest in the world? Can I feel the strength of the strongest this time? The young generals present all spoke. Compared with most of the veterans who were slightly silent, the newly promoted generals are more courageous. Sengoku looked around for a week, especially when he saw Lucar and Sakazuki, he nodded to them with satisfaction. I have to say that the tempers of these 2 people are a bit stinky, but they can reveal a hard temper from their bones, and even the strongest man in the world can't make them shrink. And Sengoku knows that these 2 people are not just talking about it. According to their past style, it is estimated that they will be the first to rush into battle when facing the Whitebeard pirates. Then Sengoku saw most of the older veterans and sighed inwardly. These people have a lot of experience in doing things, but these veterans know more about the horror of the man Whitebeard. After knowing that the strong enemy this time was this Whitebeard, I felt even more pressure. Sengoku can't blame them either, this is no way, after all, not every Marine Vice Admiral has the strength of Garp. However, this meeting made Sengoku proud of the new generation of Marine generals, and a faint feeling that the future Marine era will be taken over by these generals. Although some of you have seen the strength of the Whitebeard pirates, some have not. But I have already felt your fighting spirit. The Whitebeard pirates dare to stop our Marine's footsteps, then let him end here. Life as a pirate. Sengoku stood up and faced all the Marine generals' confident loud voices. Roar. Feeling the roar of war in the meeting room, Sengoku stretched out his palms and pressed down. The meeting was quiet again. Of course we are not afraid of the Whitebeard pirates, but we can't underestimate the strength of the other party. Next, we will return to our own warships and prepare for war. Under Sengoku's assignment, the short meeting ended here. Garp did not leave, and stayed on the Sengoku ship with Marine who was with him. Puff ha ha ha, Sengoku, these young people probably want to see the strength of that guy Whitebeard. Garp saw a group of Sakazuki who were full of warfare walking together, walked to Sengoku alone and smiled. Well, this time we are in the lineup. We have the opportunity to let them see the strength of the strongest people, so that they can have clearer goals. Sengoku said lightly that these outstanding young generals still seldom come into contact with the pirate group like Whitebeard. Of course, he wouldn't give him this kind of task at ordinary times. Large pirates of this level are usually the ones that Garp are qualified to face. Garp was with him this time, even Whitebeard and the 2 of them were not in the slightest. They all grew up at the same time, and they are no strangers to the strength of both sides. Sengoku, do you think they looked like we were when we were following Marshal Sora? At that time, Zephyr was just like me, always the first to charge. Garp smiled and said, the appearance of Lucar in front of his eyes slowly changed to the appearance of the original Garp and Sengoku. Well, it's a pity that Zephyr. Sengoku felt the same way, and now they both stood in the same position as Marshal Sora before, sitting in the back, watching the bloody charge of the young man in front. But the thought of Zephyr made Sengoku sigh, and even Garp's smile narrowed. Advertisement. Unexpectedly, after so many years, several people had grown to different positions, but Zephyr was forced to take another path. However, Sengoku's gaze turned to Lucar. He knew what this young man did in West Blue and did what none of their older brothers did for Zephyr. Garp looked at Sengoku curiously, but didn't know what Sengoku meant. Sengoku shook his head and didn't tell Garp about those things. Although he knew Garp knew the importance of things, in order to protect Lucar, keeping the secret in his heart forever was the best way. Captain, what's the matter? Nothing. Lucar felt the gaze behind him, and after knowing who it was, he confirmed that he hadn't caused any trouble in the past few days and he didn't continue to pay attention. Bullet, this time the opponent is much stronger than the original Akoku. Let's follow Sengoku Admiral's instructions on the side of the fleet. When Sengoku Admiral issues a hands-on order, we will make another move. Lucar rarely persuaded Bullet rationally, and this kid was extremely excited after knowing that his opponent was the strongest man in the world. We must know that the biggest goal of Bullet's life is to become the strongest in the world, and now Whitebeard, it can be said that Bullet's current ultimate goal. A strong player of this level still has to abide by Sengoku Admiral's arrangements. If Marine does not have Garp Vice Admiral and Sengoku Admiral, he really doesn't think anyone is an opponent of Whitebeard. If I can do it, the captain must take me on board. Don't worry, I also want to see the style of the world's strongest man. Lucar responded with a smile. The name of the person, the shadow of the tree. Whitebeard can have this nickname, and so many people are afraid of him. Lucar believes that the opponent's strength must be amazing. Such a strong, Lucar is still very interested in fighting. As for defeating Whitebeard alone, Lucar hasn't gone completely crazy yet. Although he is very confident of his own strength, he has not yet become blind to the point of swelling. On the other side, Sakazuki thanked Nishizawa. Thanks, Nishizawa, your suggestion is better than I thought. I didn't expect Garp Vice Admiral to catch up with this task so easily. Haha, it's okay. If you are missing from this mission, it will be less meaningful. Nishizawa smiled and said that he didn't pay much attention to this matter. After all, he just made a suggestion. Brother Nishizawa, your wisdom is still so outstanding. Poor Salino also exclaimed. He was still very envious of Nishizawa's level of work. If Nishizawa is by his side, Sengoku Admiral's tasks can be solved more easily. Meg Guy and Wanda, who have been following Nishizawa all the time, can't help but feel a little proud of seeing so many top generals who are well known within Marine surrounding Nishizawa. Even though they have been staying in West Blue these years, far away from the group at home, but when Lucar and his group returned, it immediately became the center of attention of many people. But one thing Guy discovered was that in addition to these young generals in front of him, he had a lot of negotiations with Lucar. At the meeting, many old generals had a bad attitude towards Lucar. Several veterans looked at their captain with disgust. Is it because of what happened at the headquarters a few days ago? It seems that things in naval headquarters will not be less in the future. What a pity, I was not there before, and I missed such an exciting thing. Guy feels a little regretful. Chapter 190 Ice Age. Advertisement. 2 hours later, the Marine fleet was not far from the waters of 8 volume. At this time, the piercing siren sounded from the Marine fleet. Ooh, at this time, all Marines came to the wide deck of the warship, looking at the sea ahead with a serious expression. In front of the warship, headed by a large beluga whale-shaped pirate ship, followed by more than a dozen pirate ships appeared on the sea level. Is this the Whitebeard pirates? This momentum is really extraordinary. Lucar stood 1 meter behind Sengoku, watching the pirate ship appearing in front of him. When the pirate ship appeared, Lucar had already spread his knowledge. After just observing for a moment, the figure of the tall man standing on the white whale-shaped pirate ship attracted all his attention. Just feeling the aura of the opponent made Lucar's hand tremble. This is not afraid of trembling, but the whole person is completely excited. Powerful, too strong. Lucar immediately judged that this man was Whitebeard, Edward Newgate. In an instant, Lucar knew that compared with the original Akoku and Jabba, this man was not at the same level. He couldn't help but glance at Garp and Sengoku. He wondered if the 2 top powers on his side could defeat the Whitebeard. Sengoku didn't pay attention to the changes in the expressions of the young Marines behind him. All his energy was focused on the man whose figure became clearer and clearer. Whitebeard, are you here to fight Marine? The special phone bug on the warship amplified Sengoku's voice and transmitted it directly to the ship on the Whitebeard side. Goo la la la, Sengoku, it's been a long time. Oh, Garp is here too. Whitebeard smiled and greeted the 2 old acquaintances in front of him, but the huge Marine warship was completely ignored. Sengoku, Roger and Golden Lion are not your turn to intervene. This is not where you Marine should be. You can't get through here. Humph, it looks like you want to die here for the 2 of them. Sengoku had understood what Whitebeard meant, and his face became extremely serious. Lucar and others behind him could feel the dignified aura of the 2. Although knowing that this war is inevitable, he still feels great pressure when it comes to reality. Puff ha ha ha, it looks like you can only catch Roger if you beat you. Garp laughed loudly, his eyes full of war. Big brother Whitebeard, let me take the shot later, I will help big brother block Marine's attack. Kazuki Odin was also a little excited by Whitebeard. It was the first time he faced such a big scene since he joined the Whitebeard pirates. He can clearly feel that there are many strong men in the opposing force named Marine. Goo la la la, lousy as Whitebeard. Come on if you want to do it. The big naginata in Whitebeard's hand swung horizontally, clearly showing his attitude. Since Whitebeard you choose to die, you can only defeat you first. Sengoku knew that this war was coming, and declared immediately. All Marines, ready to go to war. At the same time. My sons, let these Marines see your spirit. The two were very tacitly in agreement at the same time announcing the signal to start war. Roar. The whole sea is full of wanton roars from both sides. Boom boom boom. As soon as the signal for war on both sides ended, the artillery of both sides bombarded each other with full force. Advertisement. Whitebeard's eyes narrowed slightly, and the firepower of the ships on both sides was matched, and the pirate ship on his side was completely inferior to the Marine side. There is no way to do this. After all, the overall power of Marine has a stable supply of weapons and can be self-sufficient. The fleet composed of the Whitebeard pirates was able to get artillery fire only by some other external means. In addition, Whitebeard has no ambitions and is at a significant disadvantage in terms of the quality and quantity of artillery weapons. However, the Whitebeard pirates did not only rely on firepower to become famous. After discovering that the firepower of the several parties was weaker than the other, they quickly filled the sails and quickly leaned toward the warship in an attempt to win the war by receiving the ship. Seeing that the two pirate ships did not even touch the opposing warship, they were directly hit by Marine's artillery fire. The main poles were directly interrupted, and the power system was damaged and directly anchored in the center of the two sides. Seeing this situation, Sengoku immediately let the courier go down and let the other warships set fire to kill the two overpowered pirate ships. It is a pity that this world cannot solve the problem with pure artillery firepower. In this sea, the power of the top strong is the direction of victory in the war. Sengoku's orders have not been fully conveyed, and someone on Whitebeard's side has started. The person who shot was Whitebeard himself. He couldn't watch his sons die under the bombardment of these artillery fires, and directly held the large naginata and swung it down. Air shock. Click, click. The entire space seemed to have cracks, quickly spreading across the battlefield space. Boom. The huge vibration directly shook all the shells in the center of the battlefield to ashes. Then it caused a surging wave of more than 10 meters high to pounce on the Marine warship. Huh, saved, these Marine bastards have too many shells. Daddy, this is Daddy's shot. No one in this world is Daddy's opponent. We are determined to win. The two Shanghai pirates trapped in the center of the battlefield looked excitedly at the waves that piled up in front of them, and they knew that it was the father they admired that made the shot. Is this something humans can do? It's over, this Whitebeard is too strong. On Marine's side, most of Marine's faces were pale when they saw this terrifying attack. For them, most of them hadn't seen Whitebeard's ability. Even if the faces of some veterans are a little ugly, they know better than the rest of the soldiers that this level of power is nothing more than casual attacks. But even if the opponent attacked casually, many of them couldn't move forward. Can't help but shoot so soon. Sengoku calmly looked at what could be said to be a tsunami wave. Before he could fight with Garp, the rest of the warship he was on could not wait any longer. Ice Age. I saw Kuzan jumped away from the warship, jumped into the air and came to the front of the tsunami. With both hands opened, 2 ice cubes quickly condensed from the palm of the hand, continuously extending into 2 ice thorns and plunged directly into the tsunami. At this time, the highest wave had reached the top of the warship, and it was about to fall. In just a few seconds, the entire tsunami was directly frozen and stopped moving, in front of everyone. The tsunami has turned into a huge ice wall blocking the front, and the translucent ice cubes are shining brightly. Not only that, even the seawater on both sides of the sea has frozen into ice blocks and turned into a temporary land composed of ice blocks. Garp, is Kuzan capable of this level? Sengoku was a little surprised. He thought he and Garp would be needed this time, but he didn't expect the younger generation of Monster Marine to be eligible to participate in this battle. Puff ha ha ha. Kuzan boy, I have improved a lot after finding him an opponent, but the use of this ability is still a bit physically demanding for this boy. Garp accepted Sengoku's surprise with a proud face. It seems to be saying that all of the others' growth is attributed to oneself. Chapter 191. The Showy Bullet. Advertisement. Captain. Seeing Kuzan's shot, bullet following Lucar couldn't bear it. Well, let's move. Lucar glanced at Sengoku without any objection, and nodded slightly. Not only is Bullet's blood boiled over, he and Sakazuki beside him can't help but shoot. Seeing Whitebeard's hand-in-hand blow, this invincible power made Lucar's heart a constant desire to challenge. Puff ha ha ha, the boys behind Luke almost can't help it. Garp had just finished speaking, and the bullet at the back had jumped up. In the bullet flying into the air, countless black mosaic squares appeared on his body, covering the whole body of Bullet in the blink of an eye. Emperor's green armor. After 2 years of hard work, the latest armor shape of Bullet debuted for the first time. Just like the name of the armor, this green armor has the same color as the most precious Emperor green jade among Jadites, and the color shows a solemn lake green. Compared with the previous jade armor, the color is more vivid, with less mechanical flavor, but more fusion and precipitation. This is that Bullet has completely integrated the original two combined materials, the dark green metal rod and the super high-quality glass into one, forming the new armor form now. Oh, Sengoku, this kid's armor seems to be getting more and more expensive. How much do you think you can sell this armor for auction? For some reason, this was Garp's first thought when he saw this armor. Garp, what are you thinking about in your head? Is it time to discuss how expensive armor is? After Sengoku listened, the veins on his head violently, and it was obvious that Garp's sorrows made him a little unbearable. But to be honest, this armor is quite expensive just by looking at it. No, how did I get taken by Garp? Sengoku lifted the toed glasses, the expression on his face did not change, and then he turned to the side and spoke to the people behind him. You can play if you want, Whitebeard can rest assured that I will be with Garp. Boom. As soon as Sengoku's voice fell, the huge ice wall in front of him was directly broken. I saw Bullet charged a punch to smash the wave ice wall that blocked the sight of both sides, turning into countless pieces of broken ice and hitting the ice ground composed of seawater. In an instant, everyone's attention was placed on this green mecha. How is it possible? Who is that person? Is there such a person on our side? Just before I changed shape, I seemed to see the marine who had been following Rear Admiral after the giant stone. It seemed to be called Bullet. Cut, haven't you heard of West Blue's famous, Heir of the Devil? A few years ago, two great pirates with a bounty of over 100 million in New World were killed. That's too strong, right? This Bullet still follows the giant stone Rear Admiral. Is there such a strong two people on a warship? If the strength of Kuzan makes them feel the power of Logia Devil Fruit, and the punch of Bullet makes everyone marvel at this little famous young marine. You must know that over the years, Marine has long been accustomed to several monster-level marines, and many of the marines present have seen the three of Lucar's exchanges. I already have a certain understanding of the power of Logia Devil Fruit, and I am not too surprised by the power of Kuzan. And Bullet's appearance let all of them know that there is an amazing monster-level marine behind the giant rock Lucar. This is also no way. Most people will only pay attention to Lucar who is more in the limelight, and will not pay attention to the people behind each other. This time, Bullet's punch made him remembered by all the marines present. Advertisement. N. Has the strength of this Bullet reached that level? Even Sengoku Admiral was a little surprised, his pupils narrowed and looked at the Bullet above. Although Garp and Zephyr have known from Garp and Zephyr over the years that, except for Lucar, the Bullet has excellent talents and strength, but he did not expect it to be so strong. This kind of strength can compete with Lucar's group of people, and even Kuzan is still a bit worse than Bullet. Ha ha ha, Sengoku, I told you a long time ago. Bullet is a very strong kid, I guess it's not much worse than Lucar, you didn't believe it at the beginning. Fortunately, the kid Lucar persisted, otherwise how could such a good seedling enter our marine? Garp looked at Sengoku with a sad expression, as if Bullet had been cultivated by him. But Garp really has a lot of credit. When Bullet followed Garp's ship, Garp still taught Bullet a lot with his fists. Kuzan, your ice cube is not hard enough, have you been slack in the past few years? Bullet came out of the armor with a hint of mechanical sound, seeming to be a little surprised by the power of his punch. He thought the ice wall needed a few punches, but he broke it with one punch. Cut. Freezing doesn't increase the hardness. You'll know when you play with me next time. Kuzan was not happy to say that he spent a lot of energy to condense such a large ice wall, but was broken by this B************ D with a punch. It seemed that his freezing was a little fragile, which made him somewhat uncomfortable. However, Kuzan can see from the Bullet's power just now that the opponent is likely to be stronger than himself. Brother Lucar, the strength of Bullet is terrible, has he caught up with you? Pelusolino on the boat was surprised. He found that without Devil Fruit, his strength was weaker than Bullet. You must know that although he uses Devil Fruit as his main fighting method, he has not fallen behind in other aspects, and his proficiency in swordsmanship has been continuously improving over the years. Haha, Bullet is doing pretty well, but he's still a little bit worse than me. Hearing the compliments of the people around him, Lucar, who was already a little bit passionate, awake a little bit. At this moment, Bullet's prominence made him feel extremely refreshed. Huh, are you two still chatting? Whitebeard's people are about to rush over, I still have to solve the group of pirates. Sakazuki frowned, dissatisfied with the two people on the side. Especially Lucar, who agreed to charge first together, let two younger marines take the lead. Haha, do you feel the pressure brought by young people? This shows that Sakazuki, you are relaxed. Lucar felt relieved that these bullets were by his side, and his strength improved rapidly, which allowed him to constantly supervise his progress. Lucar doesn't want to be caught up by Bullet in terms of strength. He has always been the number one hitman on the Boulder. Over the years, he has felt that this position is a bit unstable. Shut up, Jets. Akainu didn't want to pay attention to this dreadful guy, and flew straight ahead. I'm not happy yet, let's make it on the stage, let everyone see if our three guys still have the original demeanor. With a hard kick, Lucar fired like a missile toward the new battlefield made of ice. I'm really impatient, two little brothers. Yada mirror. Porcelino said that the movement of his hand was not slow, and a golden light shone from his hand to the front of the ice cube. In an instant, Pelusolino, who was the last to set off, was the first to appear at the forefront of the battlefield. Digression. I didn't finish writing this chapter until 1:30 last night. I watched the game of LOL in the past few days, and my brain hemorrhage has risen. Alas, the hope now is for teams with LPL in the semifinals. Chapter 192. Advertisement. Puff ha ha ha, it's really passionate, my fists are a little itchy to see. Garp almost couldn't help leaving, but the opponent, Whitebeard, was still standing on the bow of the boat. After all, his task with Sengoku is to prepare against Whitebeard. At this time, as the sea in the middle was frozen, personnel from both sides jumped onto the ice to fight. Facing a large number of pirates charging at the other side, the three of Lucar stood at the forefront of Marine. The previous Bullet and Kuzan stood behind and didn't step forward, because they knew that the three in front of them were going to make a real shot. What the people present didn't notice was that on the side of the Whitebeard pirate group, a sturdy young pirate followed another yellow-haired young man, but his eyes kept looking at Lucar. Lucar didn't notice this situation either. There were too many people paying attention to him in the center of the battlefield. Meteor Volcano, Sakazuki, who had long wanted to take a shot, took the lead, and countless lava shot from his fist to the sky. Bakichong Guyu, Pelusolino flew into the air, and countless laser bullets shot at the pirate army. Cliff. Wait, it doesn't seem to be land here. Lucar suddenly realized that the battlefield here was just a giant ice floe temporarily created by Kuzan. There was still sea water under the ice, not the land he was familiar with. This made Lucar a little embarrassed and stopped using the sword of the cliff. There was no power of the earth core to borrow, and he could only condense the earth. Even if you can use the sword of the cliff, it will blow the ice to pieces, destroying this temporary ground. The scene suddenly became a little awkward, and a drop of cold sweat dripped from Lucar's forehead. His brain cells are constantly burning, trying to find a way to break this awkward situation. What is this guy doing? At this time, Sakazuki glanced at Lucar, who had folded his hands, but did not move at all, and felt a little puzzled. Only Sengoku, who was watching the game later, thought of something. This Lucar will not forget that this is not land, he has not awakened his fruit ability, it seems that his ability will be weakened in this kind of venue. Old Lu, I seem to forget to remind him. Nishizawa also landed on the ice with Wanda, and when he saw Lucar motionless, he instantly understood Lucar's embarrassment. Goo la 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 la, Marine kids of Logia, the range attack is good, but it's just that you don't want to hurt my children like this, lousy as Whitebeard. Air shock. Whitebeard punched in the front, and as the space shattered, it quickly spread into the air ahead. Directly extinguished the laser bomb and the magma fist falling from the clouds, without a trace of resistance. Damn it, this B***************. D. Sakazuki's roar said that under Whitebeard's attack, their large-scale attacks were difficult to perform. Only by attacking the pirates at close range can Whitebeard dare not launch such an attack. Obviously, Whitebeard didn't want them to use this method to clear the field, and directly use large-scale attacks to kill some pirates who were not strong enough. Although Whitebeard seemed to have resolved their attack easily, he was still a little afraid of these two Logia fruit abilities. You must know that his shock fruit ability has side effects. Every time you use the ability, it will shock your own internals, and the use of Logia demon fruit power only consumes physical energy. Fortunately, Whitebeard's current body is at its peak and can easily resist these side effects. Advertisement. Unfortunately, none of the crew on the Whitebeard ship possesses such a wide range of attack methods. No one helped Whitebeard share some of the pressure, so he had to let him solve the shots facing these young Marines. Brother Lucar, did you know that Whitebeard made the move this time? No wonder you didn't use the ability. Pelusolino was not as angry as Sakazuki, and he didn't look angry at all. His face was indifferent, as if the big move he had just destroyed was not his own. Well, you are right. Lucar let go of his hands silently, with a look that he had expected. But inwardly, I was very satisfied with the steps given by Pelusolino. Then change the way, we are more than just large-scale attacks. After speaking, Lucar took the lead to rush to the Whitebeard pirate who was approaching in front of him. Sakazuki followed Bullet and rushed in. Only Pelusolino was standing leisurely on the spot, and his fingertips aimed at the Whitebeard pirates and fired laser beams. As if to think of himself as a pure remote output role. The personnel on both sides fought directly on this ice surface, but the leaders on both sides were still standing in place, looking like they were pressing on the field. Shard Rock Fist. Bang. Zuohei Great Eruption. Super Cannon. Headed by Lucar, Bullet and Sakazuki followed on both sides, forming a triangular charge formation and rushing into the pirate army on Whitebeard's side. The three of them didn't seem to care whether they were out of touch with the Marine Corps. For them, maybe there is no friendly army around to make them feel more relieved. Not everyone can become their teammates to fight together, and teammates who are not strong enough to protect themselves will be their constraints if they stay with them. In front of the three Lucars, no pirate can stop their progress, and many pirates have difficulty getting close. In Lucar's land area, Sakazuki's hot magma made most of the pirates not even qualified to approach. However, the overall quality of the pirates of New World is still much higher than that of other places. The Haki ability, which is rare in the Four Seas and the Grand Line, is extremely common here. The ordinary pirates on Whitebeard's side will use some simple armament Haki, and it seems that they don't even have the qualifications to join without Haki. Three of the pirates finally broke into Lucar's body under the cover of their companions, and the three long knives slashed at Lucar's body with all their strength. Go to hell, B************ D Marine. Let this uncle tell you that New World is not a place where you group of marine dolls can come. Facing the attack of the three people, Lucar didn't even have any interest in looking up, and he didn't have any means of blocking, letting the three people chop himself on him. Clang. What? I can't cut it. A question appeared in the hearts of the three pirates at the same time. They have already used armament hockey, how can they not break the defense of the opponent? As a pirate, go to death honestly, broken rock fist. Shock. This is the last word the three pirates heard before the end of their lives. Then the picture in front of them changed, and they saw that they suddenly came to their companions. In the grieving and angry eyes of his companions, his vision blurred, and it became pitch black in a flash. Chapter 193 Top Armament Hockey. Advertisement. Lucar, is your defense harder? Sakazuki was a little envious when he saw this scene, but the attack on his hand didn't mean to stop, he kept shooting out magma to kill the surrounding pirates. As everyone's strength continues to grow, Sakazuki's admiration for Lucar's defensive ability is constantly improving. Originally, he had elemental ability, which seemed to be more useful than Lucar's defensive ability. But in New World, the popularity of armament hockey made his elementalization ability begin to decline in importance. As long as someone can use armament hockey, there is a chance to hurt him. Sakazuki has attached great importance to observation hockey's practice over the years, and now he can only allow himself to observe the enemy's attacks, and perform partial elementalization one step in advance to avoid attacks. Compared to Lucar's simple and rude defense method, it is a lot more troublesome. Like Lucar's earth armor, unless there are some special abilities, the rest can only increase their attack power. It has to be higher than Lucar's defense to hurt him, otherwise he won't be able to break the defense no matter how hard he is. Hehe, it's okay, I feel that your elementalization is better. Of course, Lucar is also very greedy for Sakazuki's ability to be elementalized. Damn, you bastards, you killed so many of my family. Lucar's performance was too fierce. At first, the Whitebeard pirates didn't react, causing many pirates to die in battle. At this time, a man with a yellow shawl and a yellow scarf on his head stood in front of Lucar, supported by a crowd of pirates. Captain Lacchio, you must avenge our brothers. These people have killed too many of our brothers. Captain, be careful, these marines are too strong. This person is the captain of the 7th Division of the cadre of the Whitebeard pirate group Lacchio. Huh, we are the Whitebeard pirates, these marines will definitely die here. Lacchio looked at Lucar with great anger. You must know that he regarded these crew members as his own family, and Lucar these murderers killed too hard, he now regrets that he came so late for a few minutes. Oh, finally a captain has arrived. This is not a small person in the Whitebeard pirates. Lucar, how about this pirate let me kill? Sakazuki looked at Lacchio with interest. Hey, this guy seems to be targeting me. I'll give it to you next. This will let me warm up. Lucar chuckled slightly, and finally came to Sakazuki who could play a little bit. I really can't tell, Sakazuki, you guys still have so many poems. Lucar murmured inwardly, as for the opponent in front of me, of course I have to come myself. After so long in West Blue, this time I can test my own strength. He originally thought he would be able to play against those old nobles Vice Admiral when he was in naval headquarters. But he didn't expect that the opponent was so weak, he would fall down without exerting any force, and his plan to warm up was shattered. Go to hell, B*********** D Marine, Demon Bite. Lacchio saw that these bastards Marine didn't put him in his eyes, and they were still chatting, so he threw out the meteor hammer in his hand. The head of this meteor hammer looked like an evil spirit, with a big mouth with metal fangs, as if biting at Lucar like a living hell demon. Lucar didn't fight back, and crossed his arms in front of him. He wanted to see how his defenses were. Clang. The big mouth on this meteor hammer bit the earth armor on Lucar's arm, and a lot of sparks emerged between the two collisions. However, this collision only made Lucar take a step back, and the armor defense on his arm was still not broken by the opponent. Advertisement. Damn, this power is. After discovering that his attack had failed, Lacchio fixed his eyes on Lucar's earth armor. In an instant, the veteran member of the Whitebeard pirate group discovered something. Lacchio's eyes widened, and he shouted in disbelief. How can you be D-train armament hockey to this level? Top armament hockey. With Lacchio's knowledge, he quickly understood the solidity of the opponent's armament hockey. This kind of power has definitely trained armament hockey to a very high level. Lucar, you fellow. Sakazuki was a little unwilling to say, he did not expect Lucar to improve so quickly in hockey's practice. You must know that hockey's training progress is not as fast as expected, and it takes a lot of time to fight. Even if he is currently practicing to the level of advanced armament hockey. Only Lucar smiled bitterly in his heart, he was completely forced to cultivate his armed S*** X to such an extent. There was Bullet, a physique madman, who forced himself to train desperately to achieve this result. However, this test has had results, Lucar is quite satisfied with his defense, he is now more and more like a heavy tank. It's time to tackle the pirate. Earth Realm. Boom. In the blink of an eye, the head of the meteor hammer, which was still biting Lucar's defense, hit the ice directly. An ice hole was smashed out of the ice, and the seawater below splashed up from the ice hole. Damn it, no good. By the time Lacchio found out that something was wrong, it was a little late. Now he has just shaken the chain in his hand, trying to throw the hammer out of the ice. Feel the anger of the earth, broken rock fist big spear. At this time, Lucar had already fired in front of Lacchio like a missile fired from a tank. The original ice surface was broken by him, turning into pieces of broken ice floating on the sea. Lucar blasted past with a full blow. Just now it was a test defense, this time it was an attack. Things happened so quickly, and for the first time Lacchio saw how fast Lucar was. He only had time to block the chain of his hands in front, trying to block his opponent with the chain that condensed armament hockey. Boom. Lacchio only heard a loud noise in his ear, and his eyes were white, and then he lost consciousness. This is the captain of the Whitebeard pirates. I really don't allow me to look down upon him. I haven't been beaten in this way. Lucar looked at Lacchio flying out with some surprise. He thought that the punch could directly penetrate the opponent, but he did not expect that the opponent's body would still accept the punch. This punch can be regarded as his strongest physical skill apart from the starburst. Over the years of practice, all Marine 6 styles have been integrated into this punch, and the shock wave sent by all the power of the 6 styles has been concentrated. It is several times stronger than in the past, which is only a combination of Tempest Kick, Finger Pistol, and Iron Body. Only in this way, it can only make a huge punch pit appear in Lacchio's chest, instead of completely penetrating it. It seems that the opponent's armament hockey is still practicing well, not as weak as imagined, and he deserves to be the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. Chapter 194 A New Strong Enemy. Advertisement. Captain Lacchio. Brother Lacchio. The surrounding Whitebeard pirates gleefully saw their favorite captain Lacchio, who was defeated by Marine in the blink of an eye. Lucar could clearly feel the hatred of the surrounding pirates towards him. Damn it, Brother Lacchio, hold on. At this time, the yellow-haired boy in the Whitebeard pirates in the distance also saw this scene, and tears flowed straight down without holding back. Immediately transformed into a big blue bird and flew towards the place where Lacchio fell. The brawny, black-haired young man who remained behind shouted in grief, "Brother Marco, go and save Brother Lacchio." At this time, the black-haired boy Joe struggled incomparably. No one would know that it was his own brother who defeated his big brother Lacchio. On the one hand, he cares for everyone on the ship, the elder brother Lacchio, who is in his temperament, and the other is his brother who has taken care of himself like a parent since he was a child. Joe's didn't know how to face this scene, and he didn't know what to do now. Transformed into a sparkling human-shaped diamond, just silently blocking Marine's attack for his teammates, but there was no counterattack. Yo, is this? It doesn't look like an ordinary devil fruit ability. A golden light flickered blocking the way of the big bird, and asked curiously in the air. You let me go. Marco, who had turned into a big blue bird, looked angrily at the sudden appearance of Pelusolino, and hit it directly with his wings burning with blue flames. Sure enough, it's a flame. Is this the legendary devil fruit of the Udemon system? As expected, the Whitebeard pirate group is terrifying. Pelusolino easily flashed the opponent's wings to attack, but showed a surprised expression. Go to hell, Marine. The angry Marco did not stop his attack, and immediately tore at the opponent with bird claws after a missed move. It's a pity, the current strength is still too immature, such a potential fruit ability person can't let you continue to grow. Pelusolino raised his little sunglasses with a single finger, and when the bird's claw was about to touch it, it turned into countless tiny golden shattered lights and disappeared. Then he appeared above Marco, and the momentary change of position made Marco too late to react. What? How can it be so fast? In Marco's horrified gaze, Pelusolino pointed his fingertips at his head and fired a golden laser. Boom. The big blue bird was shot down instantly and fell vertically to the ice. Marco. Everything happened so quickly. The pirates below just saw the fierce battle above, and saw the picture of Marco being shot down by the old man as optimistic. Yo, isn't it over yet? Poor Solino was surprised to find that when Marco was about to fall to the ground, his head wound healed quickly. With a wave of its wings, the big bird took off again. Damn, this guy's speed is too fast, I can't delay with him, I have to hurry up to rescue Captain Lacchio. Marco has calmed down after just a setback, and he already knows the strength gap between himself and the opponent. He didn't choose to fight back, and he turned to fly in the direction of Lacchio. Advertisement. Pelusolino originally wanted to make another interception and kill this young pirate with unlimited potential here. At this time, a huge chopping wave on the battlefield flew into the air. This slash wave stopped him and couldn't help but look in the direction of the chopping wave. D, dare to kill my family. As a samurai, I must avenge the Lacchio brothers. A man in a strange kimono walked out from the crowd of pirates holding two swords. A cat and a dog looked like a humanoid creature behind him. At the end, there is a person wearing a traditional pink kimono and holding two flintlocks, who looks a little illegible. This is Captain Odin. Well, this time Captain Odin will come over, and he will definitely avenge Captain Lacchio. The Whitebeard pirates, who had witnessed the defeat of Captain Lacchio, suddenly regained their confidence. It seems that these people dressed up in costumes have brought them infinite confidence. As for the reason, they have already witnessed it on the ship. Kazuki Odin, the captain of the 2nd Division who had just joined a few years ago, has the ability to play against Whitebeard. To know that there are so many captains in the Whitebeard pirates, only Kazuki Odin has the ability to fight Whitebeard alone. Oh, has the new captain come? It seems to be different from the previous one. Lucar's experience immediately felt the difference between the people who came, and the pressure of the other person coming out made him think of Akoku and Jabba. His complexion became a lot more dignified, and he didn't expect that the Whitebeard pirates had such a powerful person besides Whitebeard. When Kazuki Odin came to the front of the formation, without a second word, he chopped out a chopping wave first. This chopping wave made Lucar feel a huge threat instantly, and made him more sure of the observation just now. Without hesitation, Lucar directly hit the chopping wave with all his strength, and the final aftermath continued to fly upward. Sakazuki, do you want this captain to let you deal with it? I will fight the rest of the pirates. Lucar took the chopping wave and asked Sakazuki with interest. UB***************, D, what have you experienced at West Blue in those years? If you are scared, let me go. Only the Marine who died in battle. There is no Marine who runs away. Sakazuki's face turned pale, obviously irritated by Lucar. The new captain is obviously a bit too strong, and it can be seen from the power of the opponent's casual slash that the opponent has definitely reached the level of the top power. At this time, Lucar gave up his opponent to him, making it clear that he was ridiculing. How could he endure this, and immediately hit the opponent back. Ha ha ha. Let's join forces. I will stand up to this guy first. You and Bullet will first solve the strange things that he brought behind him. Lucar laughed loudly, having a rare opportunity to tease the serious guy Sakazuki. But when he saw the lower part of Odin's back, his little heart beat accidentally. This is a cat man. Dog man. And, it's a ladyboy again. When the guy with the double gun was scanned, Lucarden felt that his stomach was uncomfortable. A woman dressed up in a pink kimono and dressed up as a woman, but opened his flat chest and Adam's apple and told him that there was something wrong with this guy's gender. Azang, you brought the cat belly snake and Duka Nueran to stop the other two Marines first. I will first bring the murderer of Lakyo to justice. On the way to get there, Kazuki Odin had already checked Lakyo's injury, and all his internal organs were crushed by a violent force. The fragments of Jackie Chan, including the heart, were twisted with other internal organs. Obviously, they had been declared dead. Even if Marco came over, it would not be possible to save him. This made him extremely hate Lucar in front of him. When Whitebeard took him out of Wano-kuni for sailing, all the members of the ship treated him like family, giving him a far more profound feeling than when he was in Wano-kuni. Now the death of an important family member has made him and Lucar have forged a hatred of life and death. Chapter 195 Worthless Conquerors. Advertisement. Kazuki Odin held two big sharp knives 21 Gong Tianyu Yuzhen and Yanmo strode towards Lucar, his aura continued to gather. A huge sense of oppression hit the three of Lucar. Conqueror's Haki. The three of Lucar reacted in an instant, the ability used by the other party, did not expect this strangely dressed swordsman to have such a rare ability. And Odin's Conqueror's Haki accurately suppressed the three Lucars, without affecting the surrounding pirates. This level of control over conquerors has obviously been exercised quite a few times. Another strange thing about Odin, the other party faced his Conqueror's Haki, was surprised for a while at the beginning, and calmed down again. If the opponent can resist Conqueror's Haki, Odin will not be surprised. After all, the three of them are not simple characters. The fact that the Lucar 3 did not show any counterattacks made Odin feel something wrong. Are these guys planning to fight against them under the control of their own Conqueror's Haki? That's too arrogant, too despised of myself. Just when Odin and his three subordinates were planning to teach these Marines a little lesson, a completely different aura emerged from the strange green-armored man. Conqueror's Haki is not your pirate's unique ability. Bullet, let them see the spirit of heirs from the devil. Lucar calmly resisted the pressure of Conqueror's Haki from the other side, as if he hadn't been affected at all. Ha 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 ha, Captain, look at me. Bullet exuded his Conqueror's Haki wantonly in his wild laugh. The Conquerors, which was invisibly blended with the ghost spirit of Bullet, directly resisted Odin's Conquerors. The invisible black electric current flickered between the two sides, and the sound of babble was faintly heard. Damn it, how come some of these Marines have such a spirit? Odin's mood is a bit complicated. There are too few heroes with this Conqueror's Haki. If the two sides were not in hostile forces, and the other side killed a lot of his brothers on the ship, otherwise he really wanted to have a drink with these extraordinary Marine heroes. Being able to meet Conqueror's Haki owners other than himself and Whitebeard made him feel that his trip to the sea was particularly fulfilling. In just a few years of going to sea, Odin has seen so many outstanding heroes. Damn it, you be ******************, D, the battle between us, you dare to affect other brothers. Odin's face changed quickly. The Marine called Bullet did not limit conquerors to only a few of his own. The wanton spread of Conqueror's Haki caused the surrounding pirates to twitch and fall down one by one. The ghostly characteristics added by Bullet made the faces of the unconscious pirates full of horrified expressions. The pirate who could still stand still persisted with an ugly expression, his legs trembled, and resisted without letting himself fall. As for the offense, it would overestimate their strength. This time, the Conqueror's confrontation between the two made Whitebeard, who had been standing still at the pirate ship, a little unsteady, and the naginata in his hand became tighter. Alas, my children are still too immature compared to the Marine elite. Whitebeard sighed inwardly, somewhat helpless. Although his own personal strength is a little too high, this war is not something he can solve alone. This time, the Marine elites are dispatched to the whole army. In terms of strength, they are obviously better than their own crew. The overall situation has always been Marine's advantage. Until now, even the captain level had been beheaded to kill one person and two were seriously injured. Especially the strength of the new generation in Marine has exceeded his estimates. The team composed of the three of Lucar alone made Whitebeard a little envious of the potential seedlings Marine recruited. If Kazuki Oden hadn't been up for it, he predicted that the remaining captains would be difficult to fight against. It deserves to be the marine who killed Akoku. This kind of strength should be your candidate for Sengoku. Advertisement. Only this level of genius, Marine only gave Rear Admiral the position. It seems that Marine is still so boring inside, and rules are everywhere. Whitebeard originally wanted his crew to be the main force in the war, but the current situation did not allow him to be in the seat. Garp, Sengoku, after watching for so long, it's time for a few of us to warm up. Whitebeard jumped directly onto the ice in a big stride. Following Whitebeard's actions, everyone's attention was drawn from the confrontation between Kazuki Oden and Lucar. Even Bullet and Oden disperse Conqueror's Haki at the same time. This ability to consume a lot of mental energy cannot last forever. Puff ha ha ha, Whitebeard, can't you help it so soon? Then have a good fight. Garp couldn't help it for a long time, he was not as calm as Sengoku, waiting patiently for the results of the on-site war. Huh, Garp, calm down. Let's limit Whitebeard together. As long as we don't let Whitebeard affect the battlefield, winning this war is only a matter of time. Sengoku has found that this is a good opportunity to eliminate the Whitebeard pirates. If Whitebeard can be eliminated here, the matter between Roger and Golden Lion can also be slowed down. Seeing the current situation on the battlefield, he was quite confident of this victory, allowing Sengoku to directly change the goal of this mission. Especially when the three of Lucar directly blocked the unexpectedly strong Kazuki Oden, Sengoku felt that this opportunity had come. Haha, don't worry, we haven't fought together for a long time. Sengoku followed Garp with a happy face and jumped onto the ice. Sengoku Admiral, Garp Vice Admiral, Papa Whitebeard. Both sides looked at their top combat power with adoring eyes, and both sides retreated tacitly to make way for the corps on both sides of the battlefield. Of course, it was useless if they wanted to stay by their side. When the three of them approached, the aura of their respective cohesion caused the entire ice surface to tremble. Boom. Whitebeard faced the two old opponents and took the lead directly. The blade that gathers white light. Fist of the Golden Giant. Strong black fist. The three shots were sequential, but they collided at the same time in the end. The collision of Conqueror's Haki between the two of them caused the dark clouds in the sky to gather towards the three of them. Cast, several falling thunders shuttled in the dark clouds. Just the aftermath of the first collision between the two sides caused all the ice on which they were to crack, turning into countless pieces of broken ice floating. Marine and the pirate army, who thought they had retreated far enough, found that they had underestimated the strength of both sides, and dozens of people were blown off by the aftermath. So strong, is this the strongest man in the world? The gap is so big. It turns out that Sengoku Admiral also has Conqueror's Haki. You deserve to be the top power in Marine. Lucar suddenly paused the confrontation and moved their attention to the real core battlefield. Whether it is Lucar or Kazuki Oden, they are all shocked by the strength of the three top powerhouses. Lucar originally thought that he had progressed fast enough over the years, but after seeing the strong man standing at the peak of the world's strength, he suddenly felt that he was still not strong enough, and the gap was so obvious. Bullet behind him looked at Whitebeard with fiery eyes, and now he knew what the standard of the world's strongest strength was. Chapter 196 Oden's Impatience. Advertisement. On this temporary battlefield formed by ice, the collision of four Conqueror's Haki suddenly appeared, and the personnel on both sides suddenly felt that Conqueror's Haki seemed a bit common. What they didn't know was that in the adjacent waters, the waters of 8 volume, were also full of Conqueror's Haki collisions. Regardless of quantity or quality, it is no weaker than on the battlefield here, or even stronger. The sea area of 8 volume has been quiet for a long time. During this time, a group of powerful men with the destruction of the earth and the world are fighting inside it. Let this sea area begin to wake up, the turbulent water seems to imply something. The constant collision of the two battlefields made this sea area named 8 Wall also start to be unwilling to calm down, gradually accumulating energy from within. Everyone on the fierce battlefield on both sides focused their attention on the war in front of them, and did not know the terrible energy below. Oden 2 Swordsmanship Taoyuan 10 punches. Kazuki Oden stood in front of him in a cross with 2 knives, and after sending out a very fast cross flying to Lucar, the whole person was like a meteor in the sky following the cross flying in front of him. Shard Rock Fist. Super Shock. Lucar stretched his arms back, wave-like waves appeared on his strong muscles, and when he stretched to the limit like a spring, his fists went straight out. The fluctuations in the muscles were constantly surging, and quickly transmitted to the fist. This vibration even made a cracking sound in the surrounding space. This shaking technique is even somewhat similar to Whitebeard's air shock, but one relies on the ability to shake the fruit, and the other uses the wave of the earth shaking alone, and the combination of physical skills and the ability of the fruit exerts the ultimate power of the earth shaking. The cross flying in front of Lucar was disrupted by the vibration of his fists, and the stability of the destructive chopping wave was abruptly shattered. But Lucar knew it was just an appetizer, and the real meal was yet to come. Without a chance to give Lucar back, Kazuki Oden has appeared in front of him. The double swords coincided with the position of the previous cross-flying cut, constantly cutting the vibration of Lucar's fists. Puff. Lucar was hit by Oden's slash, struck the ice directly and retreated several tens of meters before unloading his strength and stopping. Hi, this guy is stronger than Akoku. It's a pity, if it weren't for this venue is not land, otherwise I can really fight him thoroughly. Lucar frowned, staring at Oden's movements closely, not daring to relax in the slightest. He didn't even look down at the cross scars spreading across his chest. Lucar knows very well that his strength is still a bit worse than this swordsman, and now he can only delay as much as possible to involve the opponent. There is no way, this is not land, he can't extract the power of the earth at any time to restore the battery life, let alone the power of the earth's core to make a starburst move to head with this swordsman. From the beginning to the present for about 10 minutes, Lucar has been in a position of being crushed and beaten. Moreover, the opponent's slash shot was faster than his own, and currently he could only passively resist the opponent's slash. In addition to the wounds on the chest, there are also many wounds on the limbs. Fortunately, Lucar's own physical fitness can still accept this kind of injury for the time being. It was impossible for Odin to defeat him in a short time, and Lucar's own defense and physical strength were not so simple. Why is this guy so hard? No, I can't go on like this anymore. I can't kill this marine in a short time, Azang and the others can't hold on anymore. Odin, who had always been in the upper hand, looked very ugly, and breathed a little. In order to end the battle as quickly as possible, Odin continued to use moves that consume a lot of physical strength, trying to defeat Lucar in a short time. Advertisement. Obviously, this effect did not meet Odin's expectations. Lucar stood like a reef. Kazuki Odin did not continue to attack, instead he kept retreating to another battlefield. Earth Realm. UB**********D. Kazuki Odin shouted angrily. Rock Fist Big Spear. Odin 2 Sword Stream Taoyuan Waterfall. Kazuki Odin's 2 swords went from top to bottom, smashing the opponent's shock wave. Again, every time Odin wanted to go to the rescue, Lucar affixed it like a dog's skin plaster. A gravitational field limit, plus a charged punch shock wave, forced Odin to stop and parry. You must know that Lucar is not only high in defense, but also not weak in attack power. Odin didn't have Lucar's monster-level defense, even with his strong body, he didn't dare to take a punch easily. Our battle is not over yet, your strength is not enough, pirate. Didn't you mean that you want to avenge the weak captain of the pirate? Oh, yes, you are also the captain. Why is that captain so weak? When Lucar's square face said these words, it seemed particularly mocking, as if what he was saying was reality. These words really angered Odin again, and quickly flew towards Lucar again. At this moment, Lucar's heart is not as relaxed as it seems. If Sakazuki and Bullet can no longer support him, he who has no lasting resilience will probably be defeated by this Odin. You two have to speed up. Sakazuki, you be ***************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** easily. Lucar struggled to resist Odin's slash, feeling a little anxious in his heart. However, these didn't make Lucar angry, it was Pelusilino that really made him angry. At the other end of the battlefield, Lucar used observation hockey to clearly perceive the B************* D and the captains of the two Whitebeard pirates from the beginning to the present. Obviously the two captains are not as strong as Odin in front of them, but they have persisted until now under the suppression of Pelusilino. Observing this situation, Lucar couldn't help but vomit. When will this be ********* D fish, the speeding attack that made people unable to react to at the beginning? As if hearing the cry from Lucar's heart, Pelusilino narrowed his eyes, knocked back a female swordsman captain with a lightsaber in his hand, and quickly disappeared. Oh, Murlocs are really rare. Speed is power. Have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? Kick at the speed of light. The captain of the other Whitebeard pirate group is a red octopus-shaped Murloc. When he discovered that Pelusilino was missing, he had already raised his vigilance. But what he didn't expect was that the marine suddenly appeared beside him. He only heard the word, yo, and was penetrated by the golden light in front of him. Pelusilino once again used his amazing ultra-high-speed attack. The Murloc captain did not even have a chance to react, so he was kicked and killed by his speed of light. Even Pelusilino's words were not finished, and the battle was over. Oh, my words seem to be said later, he doesn't seem to listen to them all. Poor Salino looked at the other female swordsman captain with an innocent look, as if the scene just now was not what he killed. Chapter 197 The Frightened Kizaru. Advertisement. This made another blue-clothed female swordsman, Whiteabe, who has the nickname Ice Witch, turned pale in shock, and retreated madly with a pale face. As if shocked by the Namu scene just now, Weighty Bella took a sigh of relief after pulling away, as if this distance could bring him a general sense of security. What the hell is going on with this marine? How could the speed become so fast all of a sudden? Why didn't he use it sooner if he had this kind of strength? A lot of sweat dripped from Whiteabe's white forehead, soaking the light blue bangs, and directly pressing it on his forehead. His eyes looked at Pelusilino with a hint of horror and confusion. If the opponent had already demonstrated this kind of strength, it would not have been just their two captains fighting against each other. If the target of the move just now was his own, she would not be too different from the Murloc captain. Whiteabe is also a normal human body, and in terms of physical defense capabilities, it is not as good as the Murloc captain. Oh, beautiful Miss Pirate, our battle is not over yet. Swordsmanship with ice attributes is really rare. Pelusilino still looked laid back, without a trace of eagerness to resolve the battle quickly. The distance that Whiteabe had just opened didn't seem to have any effect, and in the blink of an eye, Pelusilino turned into a golden light and appeared in front of her. Holding the laser sword in both hands, he slashed mercilessly, without any thoughts of wanting pity for Shongshiyu. Ice swordsmanship ice curtain. Whiteabe didn't dare to be careless, and waved his hands from the bottom up, forming a sky-blue ice wall to block the opponent's slash. But it was only blocked for a moment, and this ice wall turned into countless tiny broken ice, gleaming in the air. Without hesitation, Whitey Bay jumped forward and concentrated his mental energy around him to prevent this Marine from flashing to his side at a super high speed. At that moment, Pelusolino wanted to repeat the old tricks, and wanted to kill this female swordsman to support the other battlefield. However, the fatal threat from his heart at that moment dispelled this idea, disappeared in place, and retreated several hundred meters away. Click. At the place where Pelusolino was originally standing, the space seemed to be broken by people, with a broken sound. The entire ice surface was shattered by the previous attack, and seawater directly flooded the ice surface and rushed up. Wow, dying, is this Whitebeard's attack? Almost died there, it's really terrible. Poor Solino looked at the place where the Whitebeard trio fought with a horrified expression. The attack just now was just a random aftermath of Whitebeard's attack, which made him feel threatened. Although Whitebeard could not leave the core battlefield there for the time being, no one could resist the aftermath of the attack that Whitebeard deliberately chopped out. Unexpectedly, Whitebeard was actually angry. Why would you stare at me and hit me? Lucar didn't kill him so much. Flew into the air. Pelusolino's somewhat wretched eyes were filled with puzzlement, some of them couldn't understand why Whitebeard was aiming at him. Have you avoided it? The reaction speed of this laser kid is not slow. Whitebeard glanced around and saw that his attack didn't work, but fortunately he saved Whitebeard. Alas, there is no such good opportunity next. Whitebeard sighed inwardly, and turned his attention to the two old opponents in front of him. There are not many opportunities for him to get out of neutral in a battle of this level. Originally, under his observation of the battlefield, he thought that the greatest threat was not the three Lucars, but the laser kid who looked a little leisurely. The three people like Lucar are in a head-to-head battle situation. Although the strength is strong, it is relatively easy for him to deal with it empty shots. Advertisement. Coupled with the shot of Kazuki Odin, he believes his brother can solve this trouble, but the speed of this laser kid is too fast. Even Whitebeard himself couldn't guarantee a steady kill. With such a speed, it was too difficult to deal with a situation where the following could be guaranteed to be 50-50. Let Pelusolino's sense of threat continue to rise in Whitebeard's heart, and finally hit an attack to solve the trouble. It turned out that if this speed wanted to evade, Whitebeard couldn't help him. What Whitebeard didn't expect was that there was a problem with Odin, his trusted Mitsuda. Dogbutting Gurren. Sakazuki's fierce move smashed a flintlock from Zhang, and the subsequent explosion burned Zhang to fly dozens of meters. A Zhang. Marco and the dogs and cats watched as a Zhang was knocked into the air, but the green armored man in front of him stood in front of him like a big mountain. After finally finding a space, Marco tried to rescue a Zhang, but Sakazuki gave up the opportunity to continue to seriously injure his opponent and immediately fought back to repel Marco. The blue flame on Marco's body is much smaller than it was at the beginning, and several sparks extinguished from time to time. At this time Marco was extremely anxious. Brother Odin, you are about to end the battle, the strength of the two of us is too far apart from these two bastards, and my stamina is about to run out. After he came to this battlefield, he found that Captain Rockweo had completely lost his life, and his arrival was too late. But the reality did not give him time to grieve, and the trio of Yizang and the cat and dog were already lost to each other. Marine. Marco quickly joined the battlefield, relying on the recovery ability brought by his devil fruit, the undead fruit. The four have persisted until now. However, the lack of hard power allowed Sakazuki to find a breakthrough opportunity, and the sniper Azang took the lead in becoming the target of Sakazuki's breakthrough. Ahem, it's okay, Marco. Azang covered the blood in his mouth with only his right hand, and climbed up from the ice with difficulty. Due to the high temperature of Sakazuki's magma, a lot of water was melted on the ice, which made it difficult for Izura to stand and sway. And his left hand, along with the flintlock, was burned into dry coke by magma. Brother Yizang. Duke Inulan and Cat Viper saw Yizang's miserable state, and shouted excitedly. The electric current entangled in their bodies became louder. Hee hee, do cats and dogs want to save that waste? If you want to save people, beat me. Bullet didn't waver. One person suppressed the two fur races. Just now, Marco's flying ability allowed the other party to break through from his own hands, which made him very dissatisfied. And these two fur races without Marco's assistance became his targets of venting his anger. When this battlefield was fighting fiercely, no one noticed it. Above the dark clouds in the sky, there is a figure of a person, or a birdman. Under the concealment of dark clouds, shuttled among the falling thunder. I saw this birdman calmly taking a slender special sniper rifle from behind. Then he seemed to have found the target, pointed his sharp eagle eye at the scope, and shot out coldly. The special bullet that suddenly attacked from above, shot out at high speed, broke the tranquility of this battlefield. Chapter 198 Deadly Bullet. Advertisement. Boom. The ball popped out of the center of a person's forehead, causing the warrior who had been fighting for a long time to slowly fall to the ground. This person didn't seem to know which opponent he died in until he died. This shot stunned everyone present. No one thought that there would be a sudden attack in the sky. When they reacted, they looked at the fallen figure in disbelief. Azang. Brother Yizang. The members of the Whitebeard pirates roared in angrily. They didn't expect it. Izo did not die in the hands of those two monster-like marines, but died in a high school sneak attack that no one noticed. Meg Guy looked at her results very satisfied from a high altitude, and did not dare to stay in the distance and fly in other directions. Nishizawa Rear Admiral and Lucar both taught him that a qualified sniper can't stay in one place forever. After others find the sniper's position, they need to find a new sniper spot regardless of success. A qualified sniper is a sniper who is always hidden in the shadows, so that the opponent will not find it to death. Meg Guy flew high in the air early on, wandering outside the battlefield, constantly looking for a mobile phone meeting. The specially made seastone bullets in his hand are not many and cannot be shot at will. Only some important people are worthy of him to pull the trigger. Meg Guy waited patiently and finally waited for the result. When he found out that Azang was not in the state of Tibet, his incomplete vigilance made him hit with a single blow. The battlefield below has been completely exploded. The sudden death of Izo completely disrupted the balance of Sakazuki's battlefield. While the Whitebeard pirates were still angry and sad, Sakazuki and Bullet did not let go of this opportunity, and at the same time made their best effort. Dark Hound. The strongest punch. One arm, one broken leg, flew into the sky. Ah, you bastards. Marco only had time to take the Cat Viper with his broken left arm and Duke Inulan with his broken left leg and flee. Soon, the flames on Marco gradually extinguished, and he fell to the ground together with Duke Inulan and the Cat Viper. Cough. Marco spit out a mouthful of blood, his face was full of bloodshot eyes, and he asked hard to his side at this moment. Duke Inulan, Cat Viper, are you all right? Cat Viper gritted his teeth, I'm fine. Duke Inulan's face was full of blood and tears, and he didn't care about his injury at all, crying, woo, oh, brother Yazang, I want revenge. Huh, demon fruit power of the Udemons, this recovery ability is not worse than that of Lucar, so you can't keep you growing. Sakazuki was a little dissatisfied with the result of the battle just now. He could have killed the cat directly, but was rescued by the magma injury that Marco reacted to and hardened him. On the Bullet side, without looking at the three Marcos, they turned their heads and left. For him, these wastes he defeated could no longer become his opponents, and now the top priority is to support his captain. Since Azang was seriously injured and killed by a sniper, Kazuki Odin has been completely mad, even burning potential, and wants to kill Lucar quickly. Seeing Bullet's actions, Sakazuki didn't stop him. He still insisted on his idea, and first killed the defeated enemy in front of him and then went to support. Zuohei Great Eruption. Sakazuki's right fist turned into a huge lava, and he slammed the three of Marco fiercely. In front of the huge magma fist, countless bright red rose petals appeared out of thin air. Without fear of the high temperature of the magma, they slammed into it. These rose petals were not directly melted the moment they were in contact with the magma, but turned into sharp sword light, cutting the magma fist. Advertisement. Rose Rondo. Sakazuki's magma punch kept shrinking, and finally exploded before he was about to meet Marco. A swordsman with a thin body, a flat bangs hairstyle and a ponytail, holding two western knives, stopped in front of Marco, blocking the aftermath of the magma explosion. Beasta. After seeing the person, Marco shouted in surprise. Sorry, Marco, I'm late, do you still have the energy? I will help cover you, and first take Duke Inulan and Catbelly Snake to go first. Beasta didn't look back, looking at Sakazuki solemnly, the opponent's strength did not allow him to be distracted. Marco nodded and said, I can hold on, but these Marines killed Big Brother Rakyat and Azang. It has to be said that Zone Demon Fruit Power's physical recovery is faster than others. Marco propped up his body with his hands, and then raised the cat and dog. Fortunately, although the other two were seriously injured, they were not physically exhausted. Marco, let me go, I want to continue fighting. Duke Inulan still wanted to stay, but a broken leg made it difficult for him to maintain his balance for a while, and he had to lean on Marco. Quiet, listen to me. You can't continue participating in the battle at all in your current state, and participating in the battle is just sending you to death. And you have already felt the strength of this Marine, and now I am not sure that I can defeat him. Beasta was very calm and made the decision firmly, unaffected by his anger. He was very clear in his heart that a large part of the Catbelly Snake was burned by magma, Marco was not physically strong, and Duke Inulan had his leg broken, and the three of them simply did not have the ability to continue fighting. Coupled with the fact that Beasta knows the gap between his own strength and Sakazuki, retreat is the best choice for healing. Beasta, go! Beasta yelled, pushing Marco back and forth. The surrounding Whitebeard pirates also surrounded them, trying to cover the retreat of Marco and his party. Sakazuki stood there, watching the opponent's actions coldly, and did not continue to make a move. HMPH, pirate, next time I won't be so light. After a while, Sakazuki made a decision and stopped pursuing after a cold snort. There are more important goals right now, much more important than these immature pirates who have not yet fully grown up. Jets. The next moment, Sakazuki flew up and hurried to the other side of the battlefield. Odin 2 Swordsmanship Gun Imitation Ghost. Odin crossed the two knives and quickly passed between Lucar and Bullet, with sakura flowers falling behind him from time to time. Behind the beautiful swordsmanship is full of deadly murderous opportunities. Puff. The slashing knife marks appeared on both Lucar and Bullet at the same time, and blood was spilled freely. Even Bullet's latest Imperial green armor did not defend against Odin's slash. But the slashing effect of Odin's raid was limited to this. Lucar and the two of them stood firmly on the spot, not caring about the wounds on their bodies. Bullet, your main attack, I will assist, don't let this swordsman slash in a surprise attack. Yes, Captain. Lucar ordered Bullet to be the main force involved in Odin's attack, and he began to change into a supporting role. No way, now his physical injury is almost reaching the limit, and if he continues to fight, he may fall first. Chapter 199 Relief and Counterattack. Advertisement. Bullet rushed in front of Odin and stopped Odin's slash. As the top armament hockey so common. How come all of them are so hard? Odin's face was very ugly at this time, and seeing that he was about to solve Lucar, I didn't expect a big problem on Yizang's side, and this green armored man supported him. And Bullet's armament hockey has also cultivated to the top level, plus the outer armor made of special materials, it is no worse than Lucar in terms of defense. Odin was about to vomit. It was obvious that the two men alone were not as strong as his own, but the two Marines were hard to beat, making it difficult for him to defeat in a short time. With the support of Bullet, Lucar finally had time to catch his breath. The opponent's armament hockey's use, coupled with the swordsmanship of the top swordsman, made him difficult to resist with such a strong defense. This guy's armament hockey is really strong, I have to hurry up to relieve some pressure on Bullet. The next moment, Lucar, who was locked out of Odin's slash, put his hands together and shouted. Treasures of the earth. Around Lucar, thousands of weapons made of various knives, guns, and rocks were gathered out of thin air, locked in observation hockey, and all shot at Odin. It's a pity that these can only bring some pressure to the swordsman, and the damage of the second stage blast without the power of the Earth's core is still a lot worse. Lucar sighed inwardly, his hands did not stop, this was only the first batch. After launching the first batch of rock weapons, a new batch of rock weapons condensed again. After Odin repelled Bullet with a single blow, he did not continue pursuing. He needed to deal with the rock weapon from the sky. Shoo! Odin continued to shuttle among thousands of rock weapons, encountering a weapon that could not be avoided, and directly smashed it with a chopping wave, and none of the weapons made a successful hit. Lucar in the distance didn't feel any surprise seeing his attack didn't work. The opponent's observation hockey's training level is also quite high, and he doesn't think that his large-scale attack can bring a fatal threat to the opponent. This is also the reason why he rarely used the external ability of this kind of rock during the previous battles. Both the condensing speed and the attack speed were too slow for this swordsman. Forget it, I can maintain the current situation. If my current state is intact, I can defeat this guy with Bullet. Lucar's eyes flickered, and he accepted the idea that he could not defeat the swordsman for the time being. Just when Lucar thought this situation would continue, a late guy finally arrived. Dogbutting Gurren, Sakazuki finally arrived at this battlefield, released a giant magma dog from the air, and pounced on Kazuki Odin. Huh, this marine is here too, did Lord Inurin and Catbelly leave completely? I'm the only one left next. Kazuki Odin had known Sakazuki's arrival for a long time, and his sights had long observed the support of Beasta. The only two servants he had brought from Wano-kuni were still safely evacuated, which made him a little relieved. To be honest, he made a huge mistake this time, overestimating his own strength and underestimating these three marines. At that time, Odin was dazzled by anger because of the death of Lakyo, and the miserable situation of the three people in Tibet was his price. Lucar, sorry to be late, but I didn't expect you to be injured like this. Sakazuki fell next to Lucar and said in surprise. HMPH, you go up and have a try, this guy's strength is too comprehensive, plus some special armament hockey use, I guess you will be cut off if you can't even use the elementalization. Lucar was a little upset, not because Sakazuki was late, but because the other party underestimated himself. Oh, even if you say so, then I have to pay attention. If I didn't guess wrong with this outfit, these pirates should all come from Wano-kuni. This ancient country does have some special cultivation methods. Advertisement. Sakazuki responded seriously. He had contacted a lot of information, and he already had some judgments on the origin of this swordsman. Wano-kuni. Hearing this name, Lucar felt a little uncomfortable. Well, it is said that it is a relatively closed country in New World. I don't know much about it. However, this country has this level of power. It is worthwhile for me to go back and read some information. I see, you will send me a copy of the new information when the time comes. I am a little interested in this country. Lucar's eyes flickered, revealing dangerous messages from time to time. After Sakazuki nodded lightly, he immediately ascended and flew towards Kazuki Odin. When he came to Lucar to exchange some information, Kazuki Odin had already smashed the giant magma dog with a cross slash. A new round of fierce battle began again. This time a new player from the marine side made Odin gradually turn from the active attacking side to passive defense. As a samurai, I must not fall here. I will definitely defeat these marines who dare to hurt their family members. Kazuki Odin didn't care about wiping the sweat that seeped into his eyes, and kept inspiring himself. But 10 minutes after the trio joined forces in a fierce battle, Odin has been able to feel the heavier and heavier double knives he wielded. He can clearly feel the severity of his physical loss. There is no way. In order to quickly defeat Lucar, he used too many moves that consume a lot of physical energy, which caused him to be in a state of lack of energy. On Lucar's side, with the cover of the bullet 2 people, his shots became more and more relaxed, and he could even start to use some fruit abilities that took time to condense. As this guy running out of energy. It seems that I have to use some special moves to exchange stamina with this guy, maybe I can solve the battle faster. Bullet, you pay attention to cover me, don't let people interrupt, I have to use some special moves. Lucar yelled at Bullet, then sat cross-legged on the ice. He knew that Bullet could definitely do it. What is this guy going to do? Lucar's unusual actions made Kazuki Odin's heart shook the alarm bell frantically. He knew that he must not watch the opponent perform at will, and must interrupt the opponent's plan. Ha ha ha, where are you going? After you die, the next step is to defeat the strongest man in the world. The strongest punch. Bullet stopped Kazuki Odin who wanted to break through. Dark Hound. The pirate is dead here. Sakazuki is familiar with Lucar's methods, and it is estimated that he will have to use some sly methods. Immediately stepped forward, even if he was injured, he would not let the opponent break through. Come on, wake up, Earth Legion. It's time for you to show the justice of the Earth. Around Lucar, a large amount of Lois appeared inexplicably, hovering in the air. People who didn't know thought that a sandstorm had struck in this sea area. This time Lucar's big action suddenly attracted the attention of everyone on the battlefield, and even Whitebeard and Garp couldn't help looking in this direction. This is, good boy, are you in the army alone? The exclamation of the two-maid Sengoku, who had been fighting seriously, was divided, and couldn't help but glance at it. Chapter 200 Earth Legion. Advertisement. Around Lucar, the dust in the air gradually dispersed, and then there appeared a rock legion with a number of 1,000 people, standing neatly in a square behind Lucar. The appearance of each rock soldier is somewhat similar to Lucar himself, and he is also wearing the armor of the ancient generals, which is exactly the same as the earth armor on Lucar Mountain. It's not over yet. Lucar gritted his teeth and activated the fruit power. In the air, the treasure of the earth appeared again, and a whole 1,000 rock weapons fell directly into the hands of the rock soldiers below. Charge, crush all the evil pirates in front of you. Lucar shouted excitedly. The only response to him was a brief silence. These rock soldiers could not speak, nor did they have the consciousness to bring him a reply. Ta-ta-ta. Thin cracks appeared on the ice, and the whole land legion moved, stepping neatly and ran in the direction of Kazuki Oden. Soon, these soldiers of the land corps seemed to adapt to the general action. No longer advancing forward, the speed gradually increased, and he ran slowly, starting a formal charge. Hoo-hoo, it's the first time to use this new ability in a real battle. It would be great if it was on land. Lucar's face was a little pale at this time, panting, his hands on the ice to prevent him from falling. But his eyes were full of excitement, watching whether his legion could achieve the goal he wanted. The only thing he regrets is that this ability consumes too much energy, and there is no recovery of the power of the earth, and now Lucar has not much physical strength to fight. The current Earth Legion is not a complete version. On land, with the enhancement of the power of the Earth's core, the strength of the Earth Legion can be improved again. But it is enough for Lucar now. This move will definitely work against Oden. With Lucar's expectation, the land corps officially passed through Sakazuki and Bullet and came to Kazuki Oden. Sakazuki flew into the air, and after the initial surprise, he frowned as he thought. Lucar, can the fruit ability reach this level? Then can my lava fruit ability also create a magma army? Not only Sakazuki, but Pelusolino and Kuzan in the distance are thinking about this question. After a while, Sakazuki shook his head. This kind of physical exertion can't bear even Lucar. If I change it, it's not as good as the current way of fighting. The mere magma army is not worth it. If I'm not wrong, in addition to physical strength, Lucar's large-scale observation hockey is also a key factor in creating an elemental army of this size. I have to say that Sakazuki's talent is equally amazing, and he quickly guessed the key to this ability. Observation hockey. This ability is the biggest reason why Lucar can build a land army and can accurately control it. When Lucar thought of this idea, he wanted to use his large-scale observation hockey to assist and found it to be more useful than imagined. With the assistance of observation hockey, the movements of these rock soldiers are no longer rigid, and they can use weapons flexibly to fight, without the rigidity of rock men. Kazuki Oden soon felt the difficulty of these rock soldiers. These rock soldiers didn't have too many fancy moves, they just used to stab him directly, and Oden had to pay attention to the attacks of these rock soldiers. Advertisement. Baga. Each one is a reduced version of that marine, but it's too hard. Kazuki Oden was a little annoyed, making him, the noble name of Wanokuni, couldn't help but explode. Hard. It's too hard. The attacks of these soldiers were nothing to Oden, and he could easily avoid them. But all the soldiers wearing earth armors are too hard, and Oden needs to use armament hockey's emissions technique to get one shot at a time. Otherwise, he would need to chop several knives to smash one with his normalized armed color. Kazuki Oden is really about to spit up. His hockey needs physical strength, but it doesn't have unlimited battery life. And the Land Legion will not recover time at all, and even have no sense of death. As long as it can hurt Kazuki Oden, it will accomplish its greatest mission. Lucar smiled brightly when he saw Oden stepping back and cutting. Consumption. Just hard waste. The Land Legion, which spent such a large amount of stamina, did not want to defeat Kazuki Oden, but forced Oden into a situation where he exchanged his stamina. Using these rock soldiers abruptly to exhaust Oden's physical strength is what he wants to achieve. Captain Oden, let's help you. The pirates of the Whitebeard pirate group saw Kazuki Oden being besieged and tried to help each other out. Seeing the pirates taking action, Kazuki Oden's face changed drastically, and he shouted, "Don't come, these soldiers will just leave them to me." But his words were still a little late, and a dozen more anxious pirates hurriedly slashed at these soldiers, and even the shrunken version of the earth armor did not break. He was slashed to death by soldiers who didn't feel any pain. Hole, defeat me personally if you have the ability. With this shameless method, you are not worthy of the samurai spirit. Seeing the death of the pirate again, Kazuki Oden shouted angrily in the direction of Lucar. Lucar sneered, "Samurai spirit. What is that? As long as it can kill the evil means, it is justice. Besides, I don't want to give you a good opportunity to enjoy 1,000 enemies. With this skill, it's better to defeat it. My Land Legion." 10 minutes have passed since the Land Legion came into contact with Oden, and more than 100 soldiers have turned into rubble. Captain, Isn't this move too awkward? It's similar to your battlefield tank tactics. Bullet couldn't help but vomit. He had returned to Lucar to protect him from other sneak attacks. After all, Lucar currently has no combat effectiveness, and even the basic earth armor cannot be maintained. If the ship capsizes in the gutter, it will be a joke. Lucar responded with a wry smile. Oh, let's just do it. As long as you can win, you have to choose this way. If you are on land, there will be no such trouble. In fact, he is also willing to solve the opponent with his own hands, but reality does not allow him to do so. Suddenly, Lucar's face changed, and he whispered a little solemnly, Bullet, be careful, I don't know why, I have an ominous premonition in my heart. After my observation hockey has been fully urged just now, this premonition has become stronger after I participated in this war. I even feel the threat of death, but I can't find the threat. At some point, Lucar could feel his heart beating faster and faster, and the hairs on his skin stood up. On Kazuki Oden's side, just after smashing 2 rock soldiers, he halted and was almost slashed by the sudden soldier. What's going on? What's going on? It's so wrong. I want to tell Brother Whitebeard right away. The sudden heart palpitations made Oden couldn't help but hold his chest. He didn't intend to continue to be involved with these soldiers. Chapter 201. Advertisement. Captain, what is this guy doing? Are you ready to break through? Bullet immediately found that Oden was wrong, and was stabbed twice by the rock soldiers, and rushed out of the encirclement. When he wanted to stop, he was held back by Lucar. Lucar asked with a serious face, Don't worry about him, there is a big problem, have you heard an angry roar? I didn't hear any sound. Is it the roar of the pirates on the battlefield? What happened, Lucar, why don't you intercept it? Sakazuki didn't catch up with Oden, who broke out, and immediately came to ask when he saw the situation of the 2 people here. Go. Let's go directly to Sengoku Admiral. I now have a very strong sense of depression, which has completely affected my thinking. Do you see if that guy is looking for Whitebeard? Sakazuki and Bullet immediately looked in the direction Lucar pointed. Kazuki Oden, who had broken out, rushed to the battlefield where Whitebeard was. What Lucar didn't know was that this feeling was not only felt by him, but Kazuki Oden also heard an ultimate suppressed growl. Lucar, it looks like this swordsman has something wrong just now. Will it feel something wrong like you? Let's go over it quickly. Sakazuki knew that Lucar would not make such a joke, and when he thought of Kazuki Oden's strange actions just now, his expression became serious. The 3 also quickly followed Oden and rushed to the core battlefield. The soldiers of the Land Legion who stayed in place, without Lucar's control, all stopped, as if they had become human-shaped statues standing on the ice. This scene stunned the remaining Whitebeard pirates and the rest of the marine soldiers, and looked at each other in circles. They didn't know what was going on. They only saw the fiery strong men on both sides who had just been fighting, suddenly retreating in unison. What's the situation? Why did they all leave Akainu Vice Admiral? Wouldn't they be able to kill the pirate swordsman right away? You fart, how could Captain Oden lose? It must be what your despicable marine did. You are a pirate who understands our marine tactics. You can only say that you pirates have no brains. Dare you say that Lousy has no brains, Lousy is going to hack you. After a brief moment of silence on the battlefield due to the sudden departure of the strong from both sides, a new round of battle began again. Not only them, but both Whitebeard and Sengoku have been paying attention to the battlefield situation on Lucar's side. Seeing that the 4 people stopped fighting one after another and came to their positions, both sides stopped at the same time. Why don't you fight? Hey, how come all of them are here? Garp realized with hindsight that Lucar and several people were coming here. After a while, Kazuki Oden and Lucar and others arrived here one after another. I saw that the ice surface on the battlefield had already been shattered by the 3 fiercely fighting people, and the 3 were standing on a small piece of ice floes. Moreover, the condition of the 3 of them was not as good as they were at the beginning. Each of them, including Whitebeard, had a lot of wounds. However, looking at the aura of their bodies, it felt like they were just enjoying themselves, and it would take a long time for them to decide the victory or defeat. Kazuki Oden, who arrived first, came to Whitebeard and spoke first. Big brother Whitebeard, I heard an angry roar from nowhere. An ominous premonition emerged in my heart, and something terrible will happen soon. Thing. Advertisement. Whitebeard looked at Oden with a very serious expression, and the opponent suddenly rushed to him halfway through the fight. What he said was definitely not a joke. Whitebeard looked up at the sky at this time, and the gradually lowering clouds seemed to suggest something. Oden, can you feel where it came from? After Oden pondered for a while, he said with some uncertainty, I'm not so sure, but I feel that the direction of this premonition seems to be below. Sengoku Admiral, I also felt the ominous premonition that the swordsman said, and this feeling directly affected my mood. Lucar stood on the ice floe where Sengoku Admiral was. He didn't expect the swordsman to feel it too, no wonder he made such a sudden decision. At this time, Sengoku raised his head and looked at each other with Whitebeard, who was opposite, and at the same time exuding their observation haki thoroughly. They didn't pay attention to these content before, and all the attention was on the other party. But the top observation haki powerhouses on both sides found something wrong, letting them instantly know the importance of the matter. Outsiders don't know, both of them are very clear about the particularity of observation haki. A person who was born with the ability to listen to the sound of all things, observation haki is also cultivated to the top level. The other is to have a terrifying observation haki range and control. The talent in this area has been manifested very early. Ah, Sengoku, Whitebeard, have you found anything? Do we still want to fight? Garp asked boredly with his nostrils. Although his observation haki is also at the top level, it is purely focused on the application of the game. Be quiet, Garp, if I'm not feeling wrong, this time things are in a lot of trouble. Sengoku opened his eyes for an instant, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes, as if he had discovered something incredible. Huh, Sengoku, this battlefield will end here. I don't think you plan to go to the 8-volume sea area anymore. Whitebeard snorted, apparently he might have observed more than the other person. This time, the incident also has something to do with his shock fruit, which allows him to observe the specific location more clearly. Sengoku pondered for a while, and finally sighed and nodded in response. Oh, Sakazuki, you go and order the end of the battle, and all Marines retreat to the warship. Sakazuki didn't expect the matter to be so serious, and wondered, Sengoku Admiral, did you give up on such a good opportunity? It should be known that except for the battlefield on Whitebeard's side, the other battlefields are the advantage of their Marine as a whole, if he and Lucar 3 overcome Kazuki Odin. After the three of them re-enter the battlefield after liberation, they can definitely have an overwhelming advantage. Maybe they can completely wipe out the Vice Admiral Whitebeard pirate group in this war. Sakazuki was very unwilling to give up such a good opportunity. Sengoku shook his head, this time the impact may be greater than you think. I can't leave all the core of Marine here. Go and order immediately. Seeing the look in Sengoku's eyes, Sakazuki knew that the other party's decision was very firm, and did not continue to refute, leaving with an iron face. At the same time, Whitebeard gave the same order as Kazuki Odin. Odin was not as persistent as Sakazuki, but he gave Lucar a bitter glance when he left. In this collision with Marine, the other three were still intact, but the retainers brought by him were either dead or injured. Odin, who left, has made up his mind to make himself stronger afterwards. This situation must never happen again. Chapter 202, Evacuation. Advertisement. When the two of them just left here, a goshawk flying in the sky quickly fell here. Guy wanted to come down before, but the aftermath of the three top powerhouses made him afraid to come down. Now that his own captain has arrived, and the three of them have stopped fighting, Guy immediately seized the opportunity to dive down. Until the low altitude, Guy turned into a human form and fell to Sengoku's side. Guy's face was a little pale, he seemed to be startled by something, and he immediately said, Sengoku Admiral, Captain, it's not good, the sea in the distance is rising. The sea. Hearing this word, Lucar's mind flashed, and he finally knew where the previous hunch came from. Sengoku said, well, Guy, calm down first. I have just felt the unrest in this sea area. You can see the specific situation more clearly from the sky, and then tell us in detail. Even Whitebeard shook the ice under his feet and quickly moved closer to Sengoku, wanting to hear some specific information. He just felt the unrest in the sea, and the specific situation was definitely not as clear as this flying zone demon fruit power. In the sea area 1,000 kilometers away from us, the sea level is constantly rising, forming a tsunami that is nearly 100 meters away, and now it is moving quickly to the sea area of 8 Wall, and our location happens to be in 8 Wall. In the middle of the high area and the tsunami. Guy breathed out what he had seen. Gum, la la la, a tsunami that is only 100 meters away. This level can't give us a sense of threat. Whitebeard laughed a little disdainfully when he heard the 100-meter tsunami. That's just the beginning. The height of the tsunami keeps stacking up, and its width I can't see the extreme distance at high altitude. When Guy said this, his eyes were horrified. Continuously stacking heights, can't you see the width even from the sky? The specific details that Guy said directly changed the expressions of Sengoku and Whitebeard, and their expressions became more serious. If it is a tsunami at a height of 100 meters, it is really not a threat to them, but it is not a simple matter to keep stacking high in super wide area. This is still a tsunami 1,000 kilometers away. If the energy has been accumulated here, it is not possible to reach the height of the kilometer level. Garp, Lucar, together with me, quickly order all Marines to board the warship and prepare to evacuate. Sengoku commanded loudly. He already knew the seriousness of the matter, and now he didn't even have time to look at Whitebeard, he just ignored the other party and left with the others. The time now is too precious for him. If he didn't evacuate in time, the Marine elites brought this time may really be lost here. Puff ha ha ha, I really haven't seen such a big tsunami, Whitebeard, this time it hit here temporarily. Garp also responded with interest. When Bullet left, he couldn't help shouting to his ultimate goal, Whitebeard, the next time I meet is time for me to take your place as the strongest in the world. When Whitebeard was about to leave, he immediately replied, Gum la la la, kids, your strength is very good, but it is far from defeating lousy. Although the opponent killed a lot of his own sons, it was a fair and honest war against us. His own sons were not as skilled as others and were killed head-on. Whitebeard could still accept this fact. He is not going to attack these young Marines at such a critical moment. This is an insult to himself and to his sons who died in battle. It's only a pity that my sons are still too young, and many of the sons who are not weak in potential have not fully grown up, otherwise the battle will not be like this. Advertisement. After a while, the personnel on both sides of the battlefield received the notice, and they were puzzled because they did not explain the specific reasons. We must know that they have reached the white-hot stage, and the sudden stop made them a little at a loss. At this time, the sound of creaking sounded from the entire battlefield. It was not Whitebeard's attack, but the temporarily frozen ice battlefield under their feet. The sea water that rushed up was no longer as calm as it was before. Several pieces of completely split ice floes collided frantically, and the seawater underneath surged wildly, splashing a large wave of waves. Oh, what happened? It feels like the ice surface is a bit wrong, Kuzan brother. At this time, when Pelusolino received the truce notice, he immediately stopped his offensive action and came to Kuzan. Kuzan's eyes were a little dignified. Ah la la la, I don't know too much, I haven't touched the ice surface, it seems that the impact of the sea below has kept the ice surface cracking, and I feel that something big is about to happen in this sea area. Brother Kuzan, it looks like it should be related to the truce notice. Poor Salino rubbed his chin with his hands, and said with a certain tone. Because what he saw was that Sakazuki was issuing a truce, he knew very well that the opponent was an absolute main combatant, and unless something major happened, the opponent would definitely not be willing to cease the war. The two of you don't go chatting, the matter has been determined, and there is going to be a shocking tsunami here. If you don't want to be swallowed up by the tsunami, please go and help inform. Especially you, Pelusolino, you are faster, act now. Pelusolino followed the prestige, and it was Sengoku Admiral who had rushed over, followed by Lucar. Yes, Sengoku Admiral, Pelusolino wanted to ask for details, but when he saw Sengoku with a dark face, he knew the seriousness of the matter and immediately nodded and left. The change of the ice surface at this time has already made both parties realize that something is wrong, especially the appearance of Sengoku and Whitebeard, causing everyone to stop their hands and quickly retreat in the direction of the ship behind. 15 minutes later, all personnel on both sides evacuated to their respective ships, and even the dead bodies were taken away. The sea surface is now different from 15 minutes ago. The ice battlefield, which has experienced a lot of aftermath of the battle, has completely reached its end of life, being torn into countless pieces of ice by the huge waves. This ice battlefield seemed to disappear with the end of the war. After the personnel were evacuated, the Whitebeard pirate group did not have any contact with the marine warship, and sailed in two directions to evacuate quickly. The current situation forces them to leave quickly and dare not continue to stay here. Rumble. Everyone on the warship had all heard the sound of a huge tsunami, but they hadn't even seen the shadow of the tsunami at present, which shows how big the tsunami is in the distance. Go ahead at full speed, absolutely can't stop here, we must leave this sea area completely before the tsunami comes. Sengoku Admiral snarled loudly while holding the phone worm. The sound of the sea from a distance is getting louder and louder, the dark clouds in the sky are constantly lowering, and the thunder snake is constantly roaring in the clouds. The sea level is already turbulent, and the original fragments of ice have been swallowed. This made Sengoku, who had always been calm, felt a little urgent. The phone worm in his hand was not immediately sending various instructions. It's raining, is the storm coming? With the Shanghai roar, New World is really exciting. Lucar, who was covered in bandages, stood calmly on the swaying deck and stretched out a hand to catch the rain that had just fallen. Chapter 203. Advertisement. Half an hour has passed since the marine fleet left. At this time, the sea was already rough, with violent storms covering the entire fleet. Sengoku Admiral led Lucar and others on the deck of the warship, letting this huge storm blow on them. They didn't come out simply to get caught in the rain. After all, many of them here have demon fruit power, and the rain does not feel good on them. Fortunately, it's just rain, not as strong as the suppressing power of seawater, and the strong on a warship can still tolerate it. The tsunami is coming. Lucar's closed eyes suddenly opened, reminding everyone present. The heavy rain caused the visibility to be very low. Normal people can only see the place a few meters away in front of them, and the distance is blurred. In order to observe the specific maritime disaster, Lucar spreads out his large-scale observation hockey, observing the coming of the tsunami in advance. What is the scale? Have we avoided it? Under the influence of this storm, Sengoku asked loudly. The tsunami will reach our location, and there are still 10 minutes. Depending on the speed of our sailing, we will come into contact with the aftermath of the tsunami. The scale should be close to 500 meters in height. Lucar responded calmly and loudly. A 500-meter tsunami. With our strength, there shouldn't be any big problems. This sea is really terrifying. I have encountered such a terrible sea disaster for the first time in my career at sea for so many years. Sengoku sighed inwardly. Fortunately, he knew the specific degree of the tsunami he was going to face, so he let him relax a little. Garp, stop eating when it rains, and wait with me to stop the impact of the tsunami on our warship. After Sengoku had a decision in his mind, he immediately turned his head and looked at Garp, who was on the right side beside him, with a leisurely expression and a mood to eat. I don't know what the other party thinks. Would the donuts be more delicious if they are stuck in rain? Puff ha ha ha, I broke so many mountains with an iron fist. It's really the first time to hit a tsunami. I don't know what a tsunami will make. Garp swallowed the last donut from the cabin and laughed loudly. It's just that no one noticed that Garp's eyes kept looking in the other direction. Did this tsunami hit the waters of 8 volume? Roger, you won't just fall into this tsunami, you should end up being arrested by me. Lucar, Kuzan, you two pay attention to protect the warship. Sakazuki, Pelusolino, Bullet, you are responsible for following the command of Vice Admiral Crane and destroying the remaining aftermath together. Sengoku immediately ordered loudly. In this battle with the Whitebeard pirates, Lucar and several young marine generals have used their strength to prove that they are no longer geniuses who still need protection. These people have proven that they have grown up and can become one of the best in marine. Originally, some of the older marine vice admirals were still thinking about fighting against opponents of this level. Will these young marines lose the chain? But the fact is that these young Marines have become the top powerhouses who dominate the battlefield situation, and their amazing performance has also impressed these veterans. Yes, everyone immediately led the task. Now time is very tight, everyone immediately ran to various positions according to the assigned tasks. Ah, it is an honor to work with Jushi Rear Admiral for the first time. Ha ha ha, nothing, everyone is doing Marine justice. Lucar responded with a hearty smile. This Kuzan still has potential. I didn't expect a monster-level genius Marine to appear among his juniors. Advertisement. Lucar still has a good impression of this young man full of enthusiasm. Whenever he sees Kuzan, he can always think of the dragon guy. In fact, the two people are very similar in many cases. They are both full of good sense of justice and so passionate. Lucar hopes in his heart that this schoolboy, in the future Marine career, will encounter some things not to be extreme on the dragon's side, and make the most radical choice. Of course, Long's desire to change the world government and eliminate the world's nobles is still very appreciated by Lucar, but he does not think that this idea can be better realized by quitting Marine. In Lucar's mind, even if he doesn't quit Marine, in Marine, a huge organization with a large number of people, having this size might be more appropriate than starting from scratch. However, during Lucar's Marine career over the years, he discovered that the dragon is not the only person with such radical ideas. Lucar glanced at Sengoku and Sakazuki, who was leaving without leaving a trace, and then smiled. Big Stone Rear Admiral is right, we are all for Marine's justice. Kuzan held the hat that was almost blown away by the wind with one hand, and said with a smile in the face of the wind. A few minutes later, the sailing fleet clearly felt a little sinking in the sea at this time. Rumble. The sound of the huge waves has completely covered the shouts of Marine, and everyone's ears are only the sound of sea rolling. On the side of the fleet, everyone has seen a huge tsunami, and the highest waves have covered the sky. Under the pressure of this natural sea disaster, even Lucar could feel a sense of suffocation. He was a man in his two lives, and it was the first time he saw such an exciting scene. Compared with the tsunami before, the tsunami wave caused by the Whitebeard air shock was simply the difference between a giant and a baby, and it was not an order of magnitude at all. This is a tsunami with a height of 500 meters, and there is such a sense of oppression. If the tsunami is in the center, it would be terrifying. It is necessary to know that the individual powerhouses in this world are not ordinary people in the previous life. Lucar, who is regarded as the rank of the top powerhouses, feels huge pressure. One can imagine the horror of this tsunami. Kuzan, let's start the action here too. If there is a problem with the warship, our demon fruit power can't swim in the sea. Yes, let's get started. Kuzan stepped on the moonwalk and flew over the warship against the storm. Lucar did not move on this side, and continued to stay on the deck. One person opened his hands in the air. The other person is on the deck without double ties. Earth-armed. Freezing time capsule. On all Marine warships, the exterior was first covered by a solid layer of rock, and then by a layer of ice. The abilities of the two directly and quickly act on all ships, giving the warship a double layer of protection. It looks like the warship is wearing a layer of armor, but fortunately, both Lucar have control, and they didn't let the weight exceed the standard, otherwise the warship would sink directly, which would be funny. However, the speed of sailing is significantly reduced, and for the moment, defense is the most important. Lucar and Kuzan will remove this layer of protection after successfully weathering the impact of the tsunami. Huff ha ha ha, Sengoku, I'm on it first. Facing the huge tsunami, Garp took the lead and rushed over on the moonwalk. Garp UB********D, wait a minute for me. Sengoku transformed into a huge golden Buddha, and followed closely behind.